to get this flag up. I got back to my tent. Security sent me back to change my t-shirt. I've got my favourite Matt Hancock t-shirt on. He's a good bloke here. He's done us a few favours, but don't tell anybody. We are going to be live in about 2 minutes with Tracy Blogan. She's a shadow, whatever, culture vulture or something like that. Like this thing here that's trying to pay. Get off! I've got to get this skull and crossbones up because today is Granddad's day and it's Tony Corder's day and he doesn't mess about. Whoa, I'm up here on the scaffolding now. I mean, check this out. Look at this. That is a pyramid stage. Let's stop that music a bit. Let's stop the music. We had enough of the music. Copyright-free music does my head in. Why can't we play Bruce Springsteen and the Pistols? That's what I want. Got water over the top of this scaffold as well. So, my goodness, we jump down a bit. Let me get down. Here we are. Look, that's a little bit better. So what do you reckon to this? This is a pyramid stage made out of cardboard by a few dads. Cardboard tubes, bit of cardboard, couple of wool rolls like this, a couple of carpets. We full on, absolutely full on. We've got an amazing day today, amazing morning. I can't be hanging around. I can't be chatting to people and say and make all this nonsense. So I'm going to go live and direct to somebody who's an utter legend, and I'm on a back foot. Somebody nicked my rucksack. So this is yesterday's t-shirt, right? It stinks. Absolutely stinks, my t-shirt does. And I'm not being funny. If you've ever been to a festival, you know it's like you can't get a shower. The shower queue was miles long, right? I couldn't get a shower. I've got my dirty t-shirt on yesterday, and I've got like a massive VIP. I've got a politician lined up. I don't know where to start. I've got no questions ready and I've got to press this button here. Let me just, oh goodness me. Hang on a second. No pressure. I've got to press button number 6 to get a little window up there. Why has that not worked? Hang on, number 6. Let's have a look. Number 6. That's because I pressed the wrong one there. This is looking like it might work now. And I'm going to press that again. Okay, we're on the stage here. Oh my goodness, this is a bit hard. Where's all the crew? I tell you what, for 2 months now, I've done this all on my own. And people, whenever anything goes wrong, the stress you get, the lack of forgiveness you get is just not very nice. Wish me luck, people. This is day 3, and I've only got a dirty old hanky from yesterday from mopping the break. Well, I can take my hard hat off. Well, it's not a hard hat anymore. I'm alive. Okay, hang on. Let me just change my hand. Right, hang on. There we go. There we go. I've got my rebellion hat on. I have got my obey hat. Let's get a close-up of that little baby there. Let's get a little close-up of that. That is my obey hat. Obey and the posse, because this is the kind of behaviour we believe in, obeying. We need people to behave. We need them to obey. We need them to sit still in schools. And I've got somebody here who's got an opinion on that. Well, that's not very good. Why has that not worked? Let me press that. That's a bit better, isn't it? We have only got... Hello, Tracy Blogan. Look at me, check you out. It works as well. It works. Hello, how are you today?
Good. Love the hat.
My goodness, do you like my hat, dear? Do you know whose hat this is? I went to New York, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. I bought it for my son, thinking it would be cool if I had a son who wore hats like this. But obviously that was in fashion then. He doesn't wear it anymore. He gave it to me. So I'm wearing my son's gear. That just sums it up, doesn't it? So Trace, have you got a second screen on as well? I think you have, haven't you? Because you had a look down on the side. So that's cool.
I'm just seeing your lovely singer. You've disappeared, but that's okay.
I've disappeared?
Yeah.
Have I?
But that's okay. I can still hear you.
I feel like I'm... Oh, yeah, I've disappeared on the screen. Yeah, that's... So... I'm not being funny, but tell everybody what your the dream job you want is. And I've got to be honest with you, Tracy, I've done no research. I've met you once, and I don't watch Brookside, because you were on Brookside once, weren't you, like an actress?
No, so let's keep it...
Grange Hill then, sorry. It's Grange Hill, wasn't it? So carry on.
Okay, I'm Tracy Blogan. I'm the Member of Parliament for Batley and Spen, my hometown. I've been the MP for 3.5 years. I stepped up after Joe Cox was murdered.
That's right.
It's my town, and it's a great community. I was an actor and a writer for 3 decades, so I acted on Coronation Street and in the theatre, and wrote Tracy Beaker and Shameless and lots of other things. But so I wasn't anticipating being a politician. So I've been able to bring all that experience and understanding about the freelance life and how important creativity is into my job as an MP. And I've had the privilege of being asked by Keir Starmer to come into the DCMS team, Shadow DCMS team, and I'm the Shadow Minister for the creative industries. Well, so we're in a bit of a crisis at the moment, given lockdown and theatres closed and so on. So I'm really trying to bang the drum to try and get funding from the government to make sure that we, after COVID, have a fantastic, robust and brilliant creative industries for all of us to take part in. Fantastic.
I've just pressed the wrong button and lost you now, so I'm going to have to get you back again. So, Tracy, I'm not being funny. I've got somebody here talking in my ear, which is a bit rude, and he's feeding me questions. And Malumba is our assistant, and he overslept again, which is not funny, and it's not clever. And we've got some bloke who's been texting. If anybody's got any messages, they can stick them up on the message board here. But this chap, I've lost. Why can't I get you back? Oh, here we go. There you go again. So we've got some bloke whose hashtag on Twitter is AL16, and he said his name is Ali G in it. So he's feeding me questions. I'm not being funny. So if I say stuff that's not proper, it's because I'm getting these questions from this bloke called Ali Grant or Ali G. His first question to you is: so, how long have you lived in Yorkshire?
Well, I was born and raised there, and I left at 18 to go to university. But as an MP, you spend half your time in Parliament. So a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Parliament, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the constituency. And my family is still there. So it's a brilliant job that I get a chance to be in London with my children, but also be in Batley and Spen with my family.
Fantastic. So the next question that I've got here, and as I say, I'm just a dumb presenter. I've not a clue what I'm talking about here. So please don't take this personally, because you seem like somebody I should be getting to know. Next question is, what does DMCS stand for? BCMS. What does that stand for? What does that stand for?
Sorry about that. Digital culture, media and sport. So it's a massive brief. It's everything that's glorious about the world we live in. And my brief is culture. So that's theatre, film, publishing, gaming, libraries.
Whoa.
It's a really great brief, and hopefully when COVID's lifted, I'll get more chance to see more stuff. But at the moment, I'm just streaming and watching online. I saw Lungs the other night from the Old Vic.
Wow.
A great way to earn for the theatre to earn some money. You sell tickets,
nice
and you get a code, and you watch the theatre online. So there is lots of content, but it's really important that we make sure that the artists who create it, they get proper salary from it, and they can at least struggle through until we can get a funding from the government to make sure everybody's going to be safe in the industry.
Wicked. Ali G says he knows who you is because you is a streamer, and he says, what's your high score on GTA? Have you ever played GTA?
I've never played GTA.
Is that the racing game? Is that the car racing game? Is it? Do you know that one? Or is it the one about gangsters and that? I don't play. I haven't got time to play games. Do you know what GTA is?
He sounds like a legend. I need to meet him online and find out what he can suggest that is best for me to.
There you go. Yeah. So Ali G, check her out. She says she'll stream with you. It says it's Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto. It is. Have you heard of that?
Of course, I've heard of it. Yes.
Well, what's your high score? He says.
I haven't played it. I need to play.
Oh, okay.
This is the thing. The time with politicians. I think my family would be fed up if I was gaming rather than being with them in the little time I have at home. But
okay.
It's an important part of my job. So Ali, check me out.
Check you out. She's down with the kids. Have you got any kids of your own out of interest? And this is not
I have 2 girls, and in fact, my youngest. It was great to go and see, while Pride is cancelled this year because of COVID, the Mayor of London had a big digital celebration in Piccadilly Circus, and my girl was part of it. So it was really good to see so much creativity and flair and passion to bring people together and be inclusive in our communities. So I have 2 girls. One's an actor, one's at drama school.
brilliant. We had a bit of a do last night. We managed to blag some beer off the co-op, and they've been really brilliant. We've got Punk IPA, which we're loving, Punk IPA.
Yeah, for punks must drink Punk IPA.
Absolutely, we're trying to get the punk attitude to inspire and get our next generation going. Like Ali G thought he was the only punk until he saw this programme, and nearly every granddad's a punk. We had Glenn Matlock on last night from a band called the Sex Pistols, but you're too young to have heard of them.
No, I do remember them. Yeah.
And he says the co-op. He says she in a real Labour person in it, because hang on, she's in the co-op. Are you a co-op politician?
Yeah,
then?
You can be a Labour and cooperative MP, and the co-op values are something that I really buy into, which is about coming together, using your talents to help others and share the wealth and opportunities amongst groups of people and communities. So you can be a Labour and cooperative MP.
Because I went up our local co-op the other day to get these beers, because they sent us some vouchers, about a dozen of us. They gave us like 100 cans of beer, which is brilliant. I had about 90 and Ali G had a couple. And for £1, you can be a member of the co-op party. Is that how you bagged your way in? You sort of paid the £1, got the card. Is that how it works? Because you can be a member of the Labour Party for £1 as well, can't you? Is that right?
I would say in these troubling times, everyone should join some party or a union or come together, because there is strength in numbers. That's the only way we get things changed, which is what you know.
Well, when I was in the co-op yesterday, there was a load of lager. They had some dodgy cooking lager in the window, all the cheap stuff, and then the posh stuff, all this, they call it craft beer. I've never been able to afford it myself. And then there was a load of sort of champagne in there. So Ali's next question is you a champagne socialist? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Does that mean you drink together? Are you breaking social distancing?
To be honest, Ali, I'm a Prosecco girl if I'm drinking the fizz. I like Prosecco because it's sweeter. So maybe I'm a Prosecco socialist, who knows? But I think certainly, as my husband is a brewer in his spare time, I loved his home brews. So probably if I had a choice, Rick's home brew or champagne, I'd be Rick's home brew every time. Well,
there's this firm here called Brewdog, and I can see Rick's home brew on the front of the can like that. I tell you, I think they'd probably quite like that. That's quite trendy, Rick. So
no, he names his company after our dog, Brown Dog.
Is that right? Check you out. You are famous then, because you, as you said, you were on the telly. So the thing really is for me now is this DCMS, Digital Culture, Media and Sport. I was down there a couple of years ago because Matt Hancock had that job once, didn't he?
He did, but remember, we're in opposition at the moment, so unfortunately I haven't got my hands on the levers of power, but yeah, Matt Hancock did have that job.
Well, because he did a little film for us, which is quite nice. It's funny because I got a lot of stick from people because they think I'm some crazy sort of lefty, which I'm not, and I'm not a crazy righty either. I'm trying to sort of find some middle ground, which I know a lot of people sort of stand for. The thing is, I went into video Matt Hancock, and he had this big Damien Hirst picture on the wall behind him of the Queen all spin painting. And the next day I went up to Ironbridge to run a creativity day, and we used that for inspiration. So we had photocopies of the Queen printed up, and then got the kids to spin paint, and that's what my T-shirt is at the moment. So this was inspired not just by Damien Hirst, who also did the spin painting for the Olympics 2012, but it's also inspired by Matt Hancock, because Matt Hancock said, we've got to convince teachers and parents of the importance of the arts. Would you agree with that? Because he's a Tory saying things like that. Would you agree with that?
Well, I absolutely agree with that statement, but also we have to convince the government of the importance of the arts, because over the last decade we've lost art in schools, music, drama, dance, and we know that in schools where often parents pay for an education, you get that in your curriculum, but if you're going to a state school, it's not always on your timetable. It's really important that we understand the value of the creative subject, particularly going into a whole new world. But we need creative problem solvers and people who are empathetic and have emotional intelligence and are resilient to failure. And actually, the creative arts teaches you that, so powerfully. And it doesn't mean say that people are going to be actors or musicians or artists, but it does mean that you have an understanding of creative flow, and it's good for your mental health and good for your well-being. And certainly well-being is going to be one of my priorities going forward. Post-COVID, there's so much loneliness and grief and trauma from what people have been through, that we will need the creative arts more than ever before. And because money will be tight, I also think we should prioritise the creative offer in our communities,
well, that's
in our towns and villages. And it shouldn't just be about, you know, large buildings in big cities. It's creativity is for absolutely everyone. And whether it comes out of a library or an art centre, it's of value. And I think just trying to embolden people to say, you know, you don't have to be good at anything. You just have to enjoy it and to push yourself and explore and be curious. And let's not forget, all the stuff that's been entertaining us during lockdown is made by artists and creators. You know, all that opportunity to look around museums or look around art galleries, or, you know, to take part in online bite-sized art classes. All of that stuff is created by the people we're talking about.
Well, it's funny because
I want all young people to have access to those careers, but also to have access to that joy and that flow.
Well, the funny thing is, we did a conference in King's Cross a couple of years ago, and this bloke called Geoff Barton spoke, who's the boss of all the head teachers, basically. He runs a thing called
I know
Ascot.
Geoff. He's terrific. He's a great DJ, actually.
He's all right. He fancies himself at DJing. If you've ever had one of his CDs, you might as well get now that's what I call music 2.5, because he hasn't bought a record since the 80s, I don't think. And I think
I have one of his DVDs, and I did enjoy it.
Well, I'll be honest, I went to a do that Prince Charles did. They wouldn't let us come in, actually. We weren't invited, and they couldn't do the security checks. Yeah, right, okay. And basically, we had a chat with him outside, and we met some other lady, actually, you know, Angela Rayner. She was quite good, so I had a bit of a selfie with her, actually. I might have to dig that out, because she's cracking on. She's in the cabinet as well, at the shadow cabinet, isn't she?
She's deputy leader of the Labour Party.
Oh, well, check her out. She's done well then. Good, you know, the ordinary girl does well. I did a keynote with her. I did a keynote in Manchester alongside her and Kevin Courtney from the National Education Union. I never got invited back, to be honest. I don't think that went very well. But no, Geoff Barton said that 9 out of 10 schools have cut the arts, which sounds bad. But I'm not being funny, but all that paint's quite dear. Kids don't need to be painting. We need actors and that for Twitch and for YouTubers. What's the point of kids painting and drawing? I can't see the point myself. That's Ali G, not me.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, painting and drawing, the thing is that there is something about just losing yourself in the act of creating something. And expressing your opinions about the world, your vision of the world, and about just transferring your thoughts onto a piece of paper so it becomes tangible, so it becomes something real. And also, it's just so brilliant. You don't have to even be good, just really good for well-being. And if you see in nurseries how busy children are in the creative corner, that how enjoyable it is and how pleasurable. And surely that's what we're saying, that we want our children to have joy and pleasure in their lives, as well as obviously learning and science and maths and all of those really important subjects. It's great to have a balance, because going forward, the EBAC that Michael Gove brought in actually did focus on the core subjects and not the arts. So what's happened is schools that are under pressure financially have let those subjects go. And I just don't think losing an opportunity for self-expression isn't going to be great for our kids. We're not machines. We're not in a factory. We are people who, reflect life, tell stories, support each other. Writers are soothsayers. You know, they help you work out what you're thinking. And just think, for example, an episode of EastEnders, it might have a storyline in it where families can talk about the storyline without talking about their real lives, and it helps people work out their own problems. I just think it's such a valuable part of growing up, and also a lifelong learning, so that there's opportunities as you get older. You might have missed it as a kid, you might have fallen out of school, didn't like school, the chance to then go back to college in later life. And that's what I did in my late 30s. I went back to uni and did an MA in screenwriting, and it gave me another chance at a new career. And I just think it should be open for all. Everybody should have access to the things they want to do. It shouldn't be about who can afford to pay for it.
That's a good point, because Geoff Barton said that 9 out of 10 schools are cutting the arts, but it's not happening in the private schools, because that's actually what the parents pay for. And the thing for me, I think, really, is Steamco, we're signed up members of a thing called the Creative Industries Federation, and you'll probably find out about them in your new job. They're quite a good bunch, but it's all a bit establishment. You know, we don't get invited to much stuff, and they never include us in their emails and stuff, but we do what we can, and they focus on the secondary. But we're passionate that you have to start in primary. Lord Heseltine said, if you need an industrial strategy for this country, you have to start in primary. Lord Robert Winston, I think he's a Labour or crossbench, he actually said you've got to get them in primary for STEM. But all the primary, we're focused on these tests and reading and literacy and all that, and it just doesn't seem right, really. You mentioned EBAC, and I can't even spell that, let alone understand what it's all about. And we've had a pop at people like Mr. Gibb, who the Govian Dominic Cummings approach of education, very narrow, very, very academic. But we think the bigger issue is ignorance. And that's a strong word by parents, some parents and some teachers. Creative Industries Federation showed me some research. 29% of parents would actively discourage their kids from going into the arts. Now, you sound quite posh to me, Tracy, to be honest. This is Addy G, not me. You sound a bit posh. Could you honestly have said what you just said to a parent who wants their kid to do well, and they want them to do their maths, they want them to do their tests, they don't want them wasting their time doing art, they don't want them doing street dance, they don't want them doing drama. What do you say in ordinary person's English to somebody who's trying to discourage their kids from wasting their time doing art at school, really?
Okay, well, I grew up in Howden Clough in the estate in Batley. I absolutely didn't come from a privileged background. In fact, the opposite is true. But I did have opportunities to have a good education and go on to university. Now, going back to my estate, I'm not sure those opportunities are there for those kids. And that's why I'm a public servant, because I want those opportunities to be there. I would say it's stressful as a parent to think about your child going into an industry that's not secure. And certainly, I mean, those numbers, 29%, I can imagine they're probably 40% by now, given what's happening to the creative industries during COVID, because so many freelancers and self-employed in the arts have got no support from government, from their support scheme, and so are having to leave the industry or find other careers. So yeah, it is unstable, but the whole world is increasingly unstable. And back in the day when I was growing up, you know, there were jobs for life. You could work for a bank and you could be sure you'd have a job for life. My parents, they've said, just do what makes you happy, but they were worried that I wouldn't work. And there was, you know, most actors don't work. There is probably 10-15% are in work at any one time, but you keep going because it's a thing you want to do. But I would say, though, if you ask those very parents who said they wouldn't want their kids going into the arts as a career, if you ask them a different question, do you want your children to be happy? Probably all of them, 100% would say, well, of course. And you take out the big things in life, like, I don't know, bereavement or a house move or a divorce. The thing that contributes to poor mental health is not fulfilling your dreams. And if this is something you want, though, you will find a way through it and find a way to monetize it and make you happy. And that's what's important. And let's not forget the massive success stories for the creative industries. You can do incredibly well, writing series for Netflix or setting up a company or being an amazing artist that you're painting sell around the world. They're tiny numbers of people, but there are opportunities to do incredibly well. But also, surely, the happiness and well-being of the nation and your children is paramount. And if you can make money doing the thing you love, well, that's a win right there, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
Concerns.
I can't argue with that. We had an amazing lady on the other night, actually, who Asifa, who had done a beautiful art piece. And I'm just going to pull this up now. This is Asifa. She's a teaching assistant in Bolton. And I saw her speak at a conference the week before, Brewed the Arts, which was teachers doing a thing on a Friday. They're partners of ours. They do little teacher training events in pubs every Saturday afternoon. And I saw that piece of art, and it was lovely. And she'd done it because she'd seen it. We asked her why she'd done that, and that's the sort of, if you like, the sort of the fist of power. And we asked her why she'd done that, and she said she'd seen it on demos and on marches. And basically, we asked her if we could buy it. So we actually put a bid together, and we actually sort of paid to buy that. Well, somebody actually outbid us, but we borrowed it. And it's all part of this Black Lives Matter, hashtag Black Lives Matter. And Ali G's next question is, do you think Black Lives Matter? And that's a bit of a weird question, but do you think Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely, and certainly the movement is incredibly powerful. And I've been in a position where I can try and make my contribution by drawing together in a culture committee those people who they think and I think are missed out from the government's task force looking at the creative industries post-COVID. And it was probably one of the most diverse Zooms I've been on in my role so far, because, you know, there are so many people who are left out of this industry. And I think looking at post-COVID, we have an opportunity to rebuild better and make sure that those who have talent and stories and ideas have an opportunity to get into the industry. Because we know that right at the top, in the most powerful positions, it's still pretty much male and pale. And sorry, I've just lost you there. I just had a call coming in. And it's important to make sure that we don't lose all that equality and diversity that we've had over the gains that we've made over the last 10 years, and that we go back to factory settings. It's really, really important that we include every voice in our country and in our community who want to be part of it. So I think, of course, Black Lives Matter, and, you know, plaudits to those, you know, those who are out on the streets as well. Obviously, social distancing needs to be, you know, kept, but the anger and frustration, it is quite a powerful time, I think, and I'm hoping that the government are listening. And certainly, you know, I'll be working very, very hard in my role to make sure that we have those gains. We don't lose those gains as we go forward.
Well, you're actually on our stage at the moment. We've built a display with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, also one called Love Music, Hate Racism, which has replaced a thing called Rock Against Racism, which I did a couple of marches when I was a student, and then obviously gave up once I left university, because you don't care that much after university, or maybe you do. But at the top of the stage here is a big, long, wide line, Tracy, and it's green in the middle, 80% of it's green, and 10% on each end is white. And there's a hashtag up there, hashtag that 80%. Because we believe that everybody, and I'm going to say this now, the Dominic Cummingses, the Matt Hancocks, the all sorts of people, Donald Trump possibly, I think we possibly all have 80% in common in terms of creativity, in terms of kids or whatever. But what we tend to do is let that 10% on each end distract us. And you got your seat there in tragic circumstances because of hate incarnate. What do you say to a strategy, to a policy that says, why can't we all just focus on what we have in common and come all together now? What do you think about that kind of vibe?
Well, absolutely. I mean, stepping into the role of MPs from Batley and Spen, Jo's maiden speech has resounded across the world, and her the line that we have more in common than that which divides us is so powerful and more needed than ever before, given what we're going through and the way that identity politics is dividing us. You know, we've all got commonalities. We're parents, we're brothers, sisters, carers, you know, worried about money or workers. You know, we all have so many things that we have in common. We enjoy walks in the country, or we enjoy a good book. Let's find the things that bring us together rather than the things that divide us, because we know that the things that divide us, they're being used by those who want to harm us to divide us even further. So it's really important, you're dead right, to find those commonalities. And I think we can do that through sharing experiences of music and art, and also, you know, bringing kids together to watch shows, families to engage in you know, an experience in a darkened room watching a theatre show, or
yeah, it's been amazing,
or someone
isn't it?
just playing a guitar. You know, we can all take enjoyment from those moments of coming together. And certainly, let's not forget that the loneliness of of our society excludes so many people. We should all try and work harder as well. Absolutely. To reach out to those who are missing out.
I don't know if you'd agree, but I think in lockdown we've really appreciated art, culture, creativity. The Thursday night clap along, we come out and clap our hands, and people started playing musical instruments. And I think what a lot of people forget is that we take for granted that those granddads playing those trombones and those saxophones, like Rob de Bank's dad, he was playing a trombone or something the other week. We take for granted they went to school in a time where every child learned to play a musical instrument, and we're going to have a whole generation that doesn't do this if we can't get them off the screens for a few hours a day. What I'd like to say to you, Tracy, is that today at 1 o'clock, we're all trying to encourage people to go to that place where they stood and clapped on Thursday nights, where we're not allowed to do that anymore because it's all been a bit fatigued out, where we used to clap for carers, not just NHS, but teachers, school leaders who are on the front line here, people like all public service workers, and there's a campaign of hate, I'm sorry to say, against a lot of those, the way the media stir it up and they use these political punch bags. And if you ever get in, good luck, because you've got the media pouring poison in people's ears, according to people like James O'Brien. Today, we want people to go out and sit on that spot and have their lunch. You've heard of the big lunch. We're calling it the hashtag little big lunch, where you don't go out and have a big fuss. You just put your table out the front and have your lunch and see what happens. Because we did it a month ago, and our West Indian neighbours 2 doors up got their lunch out. They brought us some chicken, they brought us some goat, we had a couple of beers, they got a bottle of rum in. The lumber didn't come back for an hour or so, but it was all good. Because we have more in common. There is a party to be had, and we want people to enjoy that. At 3 o'clock, we've got Tom Morley, who is the drummer, co-founder of Scritti Politti. He's going to get 1,000 people in a Zoom conference to play drums together with boxes, cardboard spoons. And then at 12 o'clock, we have got an utter legend, only the political cartoonist of The Observer, Chris Riddell. And last time he was in, he did a whole load of drawings as I was chatting to him. So here's one he did. We didn't talk about the bird and the bees. There's one he did. Sack Cummings was that cartoon he did. We also talked about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Today, we're doing it for an hour. I'm hoping to get a very special guest to talk to him while he draws. We're going to have an amazing day. We've got a prize because for us, art is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. Art is creativity, it's tools, it's people. The combination of those tools could be paint, like a caveman painting on a cave wall 20,000 years ago. Art, tools could be cardboard, tools could be code for robots like this, because we're talking about what it takes to get our kids passionate about something, to help them aim high, help them aim higher than high life. Find that passion, we call it their art. Their art could be painting, photography, cooking, coding, robots, rockets, dance, DJing, or design, whatever. And tonight we're giving this £500 robot away to a child who makes a cardboard model of the pyramid stage for us today. We've got a training video from yesterday. Will Alexander showed everybody how to make a cardboard pyramid stage, because to us, the pyramid stage is a symbol of creativity. It's a symbol of the UK's creativity. It's a temple to our art. And what we want to do is to get people to make their own pyramid stages and put their art in it, a drawing, an object, or something that means something to them. Maybe tonight they could put an iPad in the back of it or a tablet and put the orbital on, because the orbital went on the repeats last night, and make their own Glastonbury. We have to create. We want parents to create with their kids. And that's what this is all about. And we're going to give those prizes away. But everybody who draws during the Chris Riddell drawing session is going to get the chance to win the drawings that he does. The Art of New Roles, Sack Cummings, all that sort of stuff. So Tracy, excuse that blatant plug, but you and people like you, whatever your politics, because we do not do party politics at Steamco. So don't come to me with a membership card, because we don't do party politics. But we do policies that affect kids, communities, creativity, and all our futures. And you seem like a good sort. So is there any chance for a cup of tea one day?
Absolutely. Once Parliament's back up and running, come into the building. Let's have a cup of tea.
Lovely to speak to you, Tracy Blogan. You are an absolute rock star. You deserve to be on the pyramid stage. And if I was Mr. Evis or Emily Evis or Richard Roberts, I would have you up there with a microphone in your hand, because you've got a great team. You've got Jo Stevens, I think, who's the Deputy Culture Minister or Shadow Minister in Wales. What we need, if you get into power, and good luck, if she ever gets into power, tell her to bring the curriculum that they've just rolled out across Wales, which has got creativity at its heart. Bring that to London, bring that to the UK. Let's put Britain back on the map. Tracy Blogan, you're a rock star. Thank you for talking to us. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure. Bye now.
And Ali says, boom shakalaka. Wow, check that out. How cool is that? How cool was that? And as I said, if you want to make yourself a cardboard pyramid stage, we have got the video here on the string from yesterday with Will Alexander, and it's pretty simple. Make a little one, make a big one. We're actually going to make one that we can have our lunch in today. You could cut this little display out and put it on the back of the pyramid stage there, and you could customize it. So that's what's going to go into ours. We need to try and make one of those today, Melinda, between all our mucking about and all our fun and games. So that's what we're talking about, the pyramid stage, and we want children to make theatre. And that's what this next session is all about. We have got Banks Theatre for the third time, and these guys are brilliant. So do not go away. I'm just going to find Sharon and Kate now because they are just wonderful. And oh my goodness, Tracy Blogan was good as well. We don't seem to have any comments coming up in there. Are there no comments? Do I have to start the comments going? Let's type something in here first. Oh, it's hard typing. I'll tell you what, talk about hangover. I got to bed at 4 o'clock. We had Danny Rampling on DJ until 2, and then we had a bit of a chat. So this is Katie and Sharon. So why hasn't it? Oh, I didn't. You've got to spell Sharon right, Nick, to get Sharon to come up. There she is. There's Sharon. So let's get Sharon on first, and I'll go and get Kate. So these guys are just fantastic. They really are fantastic. They are a theatre company. What they're going to do is show the kids how to make theatre in their little stage there. So that's that ringing. That's good. And now I want Katie. Let's stop that. Okay, let's find her. There's Sharon there. Yeah, it looks like she's coming on. Let's get Sharon on live first, and I'll do one thing at a time. It's a bit hard doing too many things at once. Hello, Sharon. Can you hear me all right?
I can.
You
yes,
can. That's good. My microphone's a bit loud. You're not very loud. So let me pop you up. So you're now on the stage. Do you want to be telling everybody what you're going to be doing and about you? And I'll get rid of myself, and then I'll go and get Katie. Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So today we are going to be telling stories from children that have got in touch with us, and we're also going to be telling, showing everyone how to make a story using a map, a treasure map.
And remind us what we did in the last 2 days, in case anybody missed it as well.
We had a really exciting time in the last few days. So we learned yesterday how to make a story through a diary entry, and the day before that, we shared top tips on how to make stories, and also how to get into character as well.
Okay, I've just got Katie here as well. I'm just doing a bit of juggling around. Oops, that's not very good.
Lots of multitasking. How has the festival been this morning?
Well, we just had Tracy Blogan on, who was absolutely fantastic. But I had some guy bantering in my ear, which is a bit annoying. Ali G was bantering in my ear, which was a bit embarrassing, to be honest, because he made me ask things I wouldn't have dreamt of asking. The trouble is in this job, because obviously I feel like a bit of a TV celebrity now, sort of answering those questions. You actually haven't got time to think for yourself. You just have to say what people say in your ear.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually having to configure video graphics cards and stuff. So I've now got that set. So if I press that, we've now got Katie as well. Hello, Katie.
Hello. Good morning.
You're right. Is it Katie or Kate? I'm sorry.
Katie.
Katie, that's right. I was right first time. I don't even give myself any benefit of justice sometimes, do I? So I'm going to leave you guys to it for about half an hour.
Great.
I've had my breakfast, I haven't brushed my teeth. I've got yesterday's T-shirt on, and I tell you what, you don't want to be here in this field. Everybody thinks it's the cows, but it's me. So I'm going to go and change my T-shirt, get a bowl of cereal. So if there's a problem, Melinda will give me a ring, because I've got to go around the back, and there's a massive queue for the showers as well. So you crack on. I'll see you later on.
Thank you, Nick. Good morning, everybody. How are we all? Oh, we can't. Sharon, I forget that nobody can answer when we're on TV, can they?
Shall I answer, Katie?
Could you answer, Sharon?
I'll answer. I am doing very well. I've got my cup of tea here. The sun is shining again here in South London. I am raring to go today. And how are you, Katie?
Well, I'm good. I've already had my coffee this morning. So I've got a nice big glass of water. And in Yorkshire, surprisingly enough, it's quite grey.
Oh no. Well, hopefully we can make up for that this morning by telling some stories which will make your day feel sunny.
Absolutely. And do you know what, Sharon? This morning I thought that we could start with a few stories that we have received from our young people in the Story Club. What do you think?
That is a great idea. Thank you, Katie. Yes, I'd love to hear some stories. So who do we have to kickstart us today?
Well, to kickstart, we have got a story from Daniel, who is 4 years old. And I'm not sure if you remember, Sharon, but a while ago, in fact, yesterday, we were talking about animals and about writing diary extracts, weren't we?
Yes, exactly. We talked yesterday about the day in the life of a tiger, and we talked about different animals and how we might write a story for them as a character. Yes, is that what Daniel's done, Katie?
Yeah, that's exactly what Daniel has done. And I think what's really impressive with this one is that he's 4 years old and it is so imaginative. So, Sharon, before I begin, are you wrapped up warm?
I'm not wrapped up warm, Katie, but I've got my cup of tea here and I'm sitting very comfortably.
So
and I'm ready to listen to an excellent story.
We're about to go somewhere which is super cold.
Really? Okay, all right. I've got my imaginary blanket here with me. I'll just wrap it up warm.
Perfect. I'll do the same.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready for Daniel's story?
We really are. Thank you, Katie. Go ahead.
I woke up in my tent in the South Pole. I decided to sneak outside. Then there was a thunderstorm and I blew away. I landed in a puddle. I was scared and cold. Then a lovely boy called Daniel picked me up. He cleaned me up and now I live with him. One day we will go back to the South Pole. The end.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Katie. And well done to Daniel. That's a beautiful story. And I think I always love hearing about places that I wouldn't normally get to go to, like the South Pole. Great idea.
So Daniel didn't say what animal he was. What animal do you think he might have been in the South Pole then?
Well, Katie, just knowing what I know about the South Pole, I'm wondering if it could have been a penguin or even a polar bear.
So it was a penguin. Penguins are the only animals that live on the South Pole. You don't even get polar bears down there.
What a great choice. Yeah, love a penguin.
Absolutely. So I've got 3 in total to read out. So next we've got one from Otis, which is a bit longer. And I thought we could finish on a poem by a girl called Hazel. So the next story is by Otis and he is age 6. And a little word about Otis. Otis has been such a story club regular for weeks and weeks and weeks. And he has written some of the most wonderful stories and poems and done excellent artwork as well. And he even said to his mum, so before he joined Story Club, he didn't really like writing and he didn't think he was very good at it. But the other week he said to his mum that he now wants to be an author, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. I think that's one of the things that I'm most proudest of, actually, hearing that Otis now enjoys writing, because I know, when I was a similar age to Otis, I actually found it really hard to learn to read and write. And yeah, everyone, as I said yesterday, everyone has got a great imagination and everyone can be a storyteller. So if you find it hard at first, like Otis, keep trying, because actually you might quite like it in the end.
Absolutely. So we can take off those imaginary blankets now. We're back in sunny-ish Old England. So yeah, it was a beautiful morning. I was at my Pop's house. Pops has woken up early because he had lots of work to do. Pop said, "Oi, Hovis!" Hovis is my nickname that Pop calls me. "Hovis, can you go into my cupboard and get my special grey trousers for me? Thank you, please." I went upstairs and looked in the cupboard, but then I had an idea. I could put on Pop's grey trousers myself to play a funny trick on him. I put on the trousers and suddenly I felt really cold and all gooey inside my body. I was melting into a melted ice cream. My whole body dripped onto the floor, and then there was a bang, and I had turned into Pops. I was much, much bigger and older too. My legs felt achy, as if I had been standing up every day building houses, and I felt like I love running because running is brilliant and makes me happy because it is good exercise. I felt like if I got tired, I would sit and watch adult programs like football and films, and I would eat food like beef and popcorn. I like being Pops. I am just looking for the keys so I can go for a drive in the big black truck when I hear a noise calling, "Otis, have you found my trousers yet?" Oh no! I quickly take off the trousers, and then just like that, I'm back to Otis again. But there's a problem. I'm only wearing my pants! So I run dashing all the way home to get myself some new trousers. The end.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that Otis managed to get some trousers again at the end of that story. What a brilliant tale that was. And actually, Katie, that was inspired by a storytelling exercise that we did. I mean, you can find all of these on the Bounce Theatre website. That's www.bouncetheatre.com. The exercise was what might happen if you put on an item of someone else's clothes and then you suddenly understood a bit more what it was like to be them. So Otis did a brilliant job there, and you can find out how to write your own version of that story on the Bounce Theatre website.
Excellent. Yeah, I think one of the things that I love about that story so much is the change and how he goes all gooey, turns into ice cream, and then there's a bang and he's Pops. Who'd have thought that changing who you were involved turning into a melted ice cream for a second or two?
Oh, crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. So our final entry from a young person is a poem which is called Sky, and this is by Hazel, who is age 4. So we had a challenge a while ago to write poetry about different places in the world. Do you remember that one, Sharon?
I did, yes. I love that challenge.
Is really good. So we had poems about going under the sea. We had poems about grass. It was a really, really wonderful week. And I selected this poem by Hazel because it's a little bit rainy and grey here where I am today. So just as you said, I wanted to be transported to somewhere a bit sunnier. So this is Hazel's poem. The sun has mustard in it. That's why it's hot. The clouds are made of bread. Sometimes they're made of chairs and tables. People sit on them, and sometimes they're unicorns. And that is Hazel's wonderful poem. I love that she has written that the sun has got mustard in it, and that's why it's hot, because it makes me that I really love mustard, and it's so hot. So to imagine that when I put my mustard on my sandwiches, it's kind of like bringing the sunshine in.
Yeah, Katie, I had goosebumps listening to Hazel's story. That was beautiful, and I think the images in that story, I can really see what the clouds look like if they look like chairs in the sky, and I can see the yellow, the mustard yellow of that sun. Really, really beautiful. Very, very simple, but beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's really evocative. Makes you think of lots of things. And to all of you who are watching, if you want to get involved and have your stories or your poems read out, as Sharon said, just go to bouncetheatre.com and you can find all the details of our past challenges, and we can also send you new ones as well. And it's completely for free, which is always a pretty wonderful thing.
It certainly is. Now, Katie, speaking of making a story, are you ready to make a new one this morning?
I think I am. I have got my pen, I've got my paper, I've got my trusty cardboard with me again.
That's great. And have you brought your imagination as well?
I brought it today. I didn't forget it. As I was having my coffee earlier, I dug it out of the box and put it inside my head.
Oh, well, now that you've got all of those things, we are ready to write an adventure story inspired by a place that we love in our local neighbourhoods. Are you ready, Katie?
I am ready.
So what we're going to do is we are going to make a map today of our local area. So the first thing that we need to do is to make a list of the places in our local area that are special to us or that we might visit a lot. So some ideas that we could go for, maybe your house, the park. Katie, do you have any ideas? What places in your local area are special to you?
So I'm really lucky where I live. It's right out in the countryside, and I live in a big valley. And up the sides of the valley, there's loads and loads of trees and forest. So I like to, when I've got time, I like to go for walks in the forest and up on the hilltops.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. I wish I could be there. That sounds wonderful.
Super nice.
So make a list of those places in your local area. For me, one of my favourite places is my local library, because I can go there and borrow books and learn about loads of different things from all over the world. So the next thing to do, once you've made that list of the local places in your area, is to imagine that there are some secret, mysterious or magical places in your area too. So for example, what if your local supermarket was actually haunted? What if there was a secret theme park behind the library? What if the local woods was actually a magical forest where very strange and wonderful things happen? What would happen if your local river actually turned into a lake made of jelly? And what would happen if your post box at the end of your road allowed you to time travel?
Whoa, these things are crazy, Sharon.
They're crazy, aren't they? Katie, could you imagine somewhere in your local area suddenly being a bit secret or mysterious or magical?
Absolutely. So if you go, there's a really, really steep hill. And if you walk up to the top, there's like some rocks at the top, and they form a bit of an outlook, or you can sit down and look across the entire valley. And I wonder if when you went there, I don't know, maybe something magical happened, like you could see inside everybody's windows, or when you looked from there, or when you stood there, you became a giant and you could step across the land.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Yeah, great idea. So now that we've thought of those magical places, the next thing to do is to draw a map of your local area and add some of the new places that you've imagined. So I don't know if you can see this, everyone. I've made a map of my local area. So you can see here I've got the school, the local leisure centre, the haunted supermarket.
Hold it a bit higher.
Bit higher, can everyone see it?
And a bit further back, away from the camera a little bit. Up a little bit, up a little bit, up.
Yeah.
And closer a little bit, and down a little spot. That's perfect.
Yeah. So we've got here my local school, my block of flats, the haunted supermarket, my leisure centre, the museum as well, a top secret magic forest, and the roundabout, the roads. You can see it all. So that's just something that I've done to help me think about the places in my story that are important. And you can lay out your map however you like. Also, don't worry if that map looks exactly like your local area or not. You could do something entirely different and make up a whole new town if you like. It's completely up to you. And again, you can find this map on the Bounce website, www.bouncetheatre.com. So, once you've made your adventure map, now it's time to plan your story. As I said yesterday, planning your story can really help you so that when you're writing, you know what you're heading towards and it can help you. You ready to plan the story, Katie?
I think so. I'm just drawing my map. The only colours I have are green, pink and orange. So at the minute I've got orange houses, green trees and a pink river.
That sounds perfect. That's great. So I've got a few questions that help to for you to figure out what your story is. So the questions are, just to remind you, as I said yesterday and the day before, there are no right or wrongs. You can be as imaginative as you like. So firstly, what is the setting for your story? Where does it take place? And Katie, where's your story going to take place?
My story is going to take place in a really pretty village called Haworth.
Great name. That sounds brilliant. And the next question is, what characters are going to be in your story? Who are they and what are they called? So it could be your family, it could be your friends, or it could be someone else from your local area, or it could be someone completely made up. Katie, any ideas which characters you might use in your story?
Yeah, so in this village, there are lots of people who walk their dogs. So I think one of my main characters is going to be a really mysterious dog walker called Esmeralda.
Esmeralda, that is a very mysterious and magical name. Great idea, Katie. Okay, the next question. What is the problem that your characters need to solve in your story? What problem do they need to work out? Any idea, Katie? What does Esmeralda need to work out?
I think that she might have lost her dog.
Oh, okay, that's a big problem. So she's going to need to solve that by the end of the story. So what events might happen in your story to help her to find that dog?
I think she probably has to go to different places and ask different people. And I wonder if each person has seen the dog a few minutes ago, so she gets some more information and she's sent off to somewhere else in the village.
Okay, that's great. And what's the solution? How does the story end?
I think the story has got to end with Esmeralda finding her dog.
I think so too. That's the happy ending that we need, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Well, then you can see really easily how Katie's very quickly come up with a story about her local area. Katie, you're actually going to read us a story, the story that I wrote for Story Club, based on my map, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you ready for that story now?
I am. I'm looking forward to it and I'm sitting comfortably.
Oh, perfect. So this story is by Sharon and it's called Charlie and the Haunted Supermarket. And this is going to be our last story of the weekend. So I hope that you're all sitting comfortably and it's a little bit scary in places. So maybe, I don't know, have some cushions you can put over your ears if it gets a bit too scary. So here we go. Charlie and the Haunted Supermarket. It was an exciting Saturday morning in the town of Normville. Charlie was going to take part in his first ever swimming competition and he was feeling very nervous. He ate his cornflakes for breakfast, but they still didn't fill him up. I know exactly the thing for you, Charlie, said his mum. A big bunch of bananas. Charlie agreed. Bananas had always given him energy in the past. There were only a few hours left until the swimming competition, so Charlie rushed down to Normville's supermarket, which always sold everything that they needed. The supermarket felt strangely cold when Charlie entered it. The music playing sounded echoey and eerie. There weren't any other customers around, and the checkout workers looked tired and pale. Charlie headed over to the fruit and veg section and found the bananas. He reached to pick out a bunch, but the bananas floated into the aisle away from him. Suddenly, Charlie felt a nudge on his shoulder. A tin of baked beans moved past him through the air. What on earth is going on? Charlie exclaimed as a loaf of bread drifted past him. Why is all the food floating around? Young man, said the loaf of bread. Hang on a second, you're bread, you can't talk. I can, said the bread. I am haunted. What? Charlie could not believe what was going on. Young man, don't you know this is a haunted supermarket? No, it's not. This is Normville's best supermarket. I'm sorry, young man, but all of the food you see floating off the shelves is ghost food. Charlie was overwhelmed. How can this be ghost food? He asked. The loaf of bread sighed loudly. It's a very sad tale. All of us food you see floating, well, nobody ate us, and we reached the end of our sell-by date last Wednesday. Supermarket threw us all in a big skip. We tried to be happy there, but we were so upset that we had to come back and haunt the supermarket. Charlie was taken aback. I'm so sorry to hear that, but can you go and haunt another place? I need some bananas for my swimming competition. The loaf of bread swayed from side to side. No, young man, we can't. There's nowhere else for us to go. Charlie looked around him at all the food floating off the shelves and the zombie supermarket workers. I'll find a way to help you. I promise, he told the loaf of bread. Thank you, young man, said the bread. And please, hurry. Charlie put his basket down and left the haunted supermarket. He knew he needed to think, so he headed down the road, over the hill, past the postbox and over the roundabout. Suddenly, he came to a tree that was the tallest and greenest he'd ever seen. Charlie realised that the tree was surrounded by others, all around it. He walked further and further forwards and realised he was in a forest full of tall and emerald trees. It was beautiful. Charlie sat down, leaning against a tree, and thought about what to do. How can I rescue the supermarket and get my bananas? He asked. Suddenly, Charlie felt something move behind him. We can help you, said a very deep and melodic voice. Charlie realised that the trees were moving and talking to him. What was in my cornflakes today? This is crazy! Charlie, said the trees. How do you know my name? Asked Charlie. Because this is the magic forest of Normville, and we know everything, sighed the forest. Wow, well, that's great. Do you think you could help me with the haunted supermarket? Of course, said the trees. We must make use of the food. I know, said Charlie, but the food is all dead now. Charlie, go to the postbox and post this acorn through it, whispered the trees. An acorn appeared at Charlie's feet. It shimmered in the light. "And then what will happen?" asked Charlie. "You will see," said the trees. Charlie picked up the acorn. It felt soft and light in his hands, and he followed the rays of sun flowing through the trees back to the roundabout and the main road. The postbox stood quietly outside the post office. Charlie walked closer to it. It looked just the same as usual. Charlie began to turn around when he heard a voice call, "Excuse me." Charlie looked back. The postbox had moved closer to him. "I believe you have something for me." "You can talk too." "Of course I can." "Right, because you're magic too, are you?" "Don't be silly," said the postbox. "I'm not magic. I can just time travel." "What? This is the craziest day ever," said Charlie. "Yes, I'm a time-travelling postbox. I don't need to time travel. I need to bring the haunted supermarket back to life." "Well, yeah, I'm here to help you with that." "How are you going to do that?" asked Charlie. "What do you have for me?" demanded the postbox. Charlie remembered the acorn sitting softly in the palm of his hand. He posted it into the window of the box, but before he knew it, he was sucked into the postbox. The postbox was dark and full of letters. How was Charlie going to escape? He knocked on the wall of the postbox. "Hello? Hello, can you help me? I need to save the supermarket so I can get some bananas for my swimming competition. Hello, anyone?" Suddenly, a big light shone through, and Charlie realised that the postbox had been opened. It was the postman, Bob. "Charlie, what on earth are you doing in here?" It's a long story. It's Wednesday morning. Shouldn't you be in school?" Charlie was puzzled. "It's Wednesday, not Saturday?" he asked Bob. "Yes, of course. Are you feeling okay?" "I am now." Charlie realised that he had travelled back in time to last Wednesday. The acorn was still in his hand. He packed it safely into his pocket. He ran over the hill, past the roundabout, and all the way to the supermarket. The supermarket felt the same as it usually did. The temperature was fine, the food was on the shelves, and the checkout staff did not look like zombies. Charlie walked down an aisle where he found a supermarket worker taking food off the shelves, including a bunch of bananas. "Excuse me," Charlie asked her, "what are you doing with that food?" "Oh, it's past its sell-by date, so we have to throw it away." "I see," said Charlie. "Do you mind if I take it off your hands?" Charlie took the food to his school. His teacher, Mrs. Green, asked him where he'd been. "Charlie, you're late." "I know, miss. I'm sorry. And why do you have all that food with you?" "It's a long story, miss. Do you think we can find a way to use it?" The school put the word out to the town of Normville. Did anyone need some spare food? And the town said yes. The old people's home needed some bread. The local church would love some vegetables. The mosque needed fruit. The scouts would take the cake, and the community centre could use the pizza. By the end of the day, the food had all been taken. Charlie was so happy, but he didn't want to have Thursday and Friday again. He was excited for his swimming competition. He ran back to the postbox. It looked completely normal, and Charlie took a step away. "Well then," said the postbox, "don't just stand there. Do you have something for me?" Charlie took the acorn out of his pocket and posted it once more. Before he knew it, he was back inside the postbox in the dark and surrounded by envelopes. He knocked on the wall. "Please let me out! I need to go to my swimming competition!" Luckily, Bob the postman was walking by. "Charlie, what are you doing in here?" he asked when he let Charlie out. "Bob, it's a long story, and I have to go. I need a banana." When Charlie arrived back at the supermarket, it was busy with Saturday shoppers, and the shelves were full of food which was completely still. Charlie breathed a sigh of relief. He ran to the fruit and vegetable aisle where he found a beautiful bunch of bananas. He ate 3 and ran to the leisure centre where his mum was waiting outside for him. "Charlie, where have you been?" she asked. "Mum, it's a long story. I'll tell you later," said Charlie. "On your marks, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The whistle blew and Charlie dove into the swimming water as fast as he could. He thought about what an amazing day it had been, seeing the beautiful magic forest, the inside of a postbox, and all of the people in his town sharing food. When he reached the end of the lane, Charlie looked around. Nobody else was there yet. He had won the race. The end.
Ah, very well read, Katie.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Very well written.
Thank you. Well, I'm very excited to see if other people will write a story about their local area as well, and if this might inspire some other ideas for children across the
There's so much inspiration out there, and all you need to do is turn on your imagination and give it a go, because as we said, there's no wrong or right in telling stories. You can do whatever your imagination wants to.
That is exactly right. So we've reached the end of our session today now, haven't we, Katie?
We have, yes. So I wonder if Nick has finished his breakfast. I wonder what he might have had.
I've still got most of the toast, to be honest.
You have a toast, are you, Nick?
I've had a big bowl of cereal. The only trouble is when you're a bit busy, you don't chew enough times. My grandmother always used to say you should chew everything 36 times. And I chew sometimes. Sometimes I have big lumps go down, which I'd forget. It's terrible. It's just not good, boys and girls. You have to chew your food properly. And I've got a bit. It's funny because I'm busy, but I even still managed to burn the toast. If you think about it, I could have cooked it for less, and it wouldn't have got so toasted. It got so burnt.
This is true.
But no, I've had a bit of a shower. I didn't change my t-shirt either. Or not to. I'll do that while the next actor on. Thank you so much, Katie and Sharon, for a fantastic 3 days of drama, of theatre, of workshops. I can't wait to maybe get the chance to work with you, because every year we go to Camp Festival and we have a big stage. And this year, Rob the Bank, who runs Camp Festival, has actually given us Art Town.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you've ever been to Camp Festival, but they have a massive big tent in an area called Art Town, which is all arts and crafts and painting. But we're doing an Art Town takeover this year, because we're going to say that art is more than just painting and cutting and painting and drawing. So we're going to have a takeover. It'd be lovely. Maybe you could do the art of theatre, maybe do some stuff there for us. Would you like that?
We would love that. I'm sure we can come up with a few more stories.
I'm sure there's thousands of stories, because there's only the only limit is your imagination, as you know. So thank you both so much, very much. I'm going to move on now if you don't mind, but lovely to see you.
Have a great rest of the festival, Nick.
Bless you, thanks. And Banks Theatre, everybody, absolutely fantastic. Tell everybody just quickly what your URL is and all your details.
We're at dancetheatre.com, and you can find us on Instagram at Dance Theatre, Twitter at Dance Theatre, and Facebook at Dance Theatre.
Fantastic. Bless you. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
There you go. There you go. That's what we call Banks Theatre. Fantastic. So now this is really, really exciting, because if you saw earlier, you'll have seen the car arriving on our pyramid stage under construction. That's a film from the other day. And you'll have seen me earlier. I was on top of the pyramid stage there, on top of our cardboard pyramid stage, trying to get a skull and crossbones up. And I made it look, because you can see on the top there, the skull and crossbones on the top of our pyramid stage, flying proudly. And now we have only got the Pirates of the Caribbean. They're a circus, and they're going to tell us all about their fantastic work. So I've got to, here she, oh, I found her already. This is fantastic. That's a good start. I think there's 2 people, so I need to find the other one. I've got 1 person signed in. That's great. This is Shayna, and these are just they're just super people, and you've got to check this out. Oh my goodness, they are so cool. They are so cool. Okay, so hello.
Hi, Nick.
Check you out with you got your bunting up. Let me get you up on this screen here. Hang on a second. got your bunting up. We like a bit of bunting here at Glastonbury. So you're Shayna, are you?
I'm Shayna, yeah.
Lovely.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Have you got a second screen that you can see? Because I'm just going to turn that camera off. You can see stuff on a second screen, can you?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Ooh, there I am.
There you are. You're famous now. Have you ever been on the pyramid stage before?
I've never been on the pyramid stage. I've been on quite a lot of other stages at Glastonbury, but not the pyramid stage.
Wow, because I've heard actually, because a very good friend of mine, one of my favourite people in the whole wide world, Kate McBain, I think, works with you, doesn't she? And
she does.
So she told me all about you and said she works with you. And I thought, anybody, if it's good enough for Kate McBain, it's good enough for me, because I can't keep up with her. Every time I speak to her, which isn't as often as I'd like, she's often doing another job. She's done Cuban dance and circus and Cuban. That's just brilliant. I'd love to have her job. I could maybe
she's amazing.
Carry her bag. Yeah, so she works with you and helps you out. Fantastic. You've got all sorts of stuff there. Is somebody else coming on this video, or do I need to connect somebody else on a separate camera?
They're not. I was hoping that my partner Barnes was going to join us, but he's had to go and see his mum. She's been in lockdown for 4 months in Southsea, and she needed a visit from her son today. So
that's fair enough,
he's gone to do that. So you've got me.
That's fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that as an excuse. Okay, Koki, the sun's very bright on your face. I think it's going to be fine, but just so you know, you're a little bit bleached out, but I think we'll be fine.
I can move back a bit. I'm sitting with a window in front of me, so
all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't feel the need to go back too far. And
okay.
And is your microphone in your earbuds, is it? You've got those fancy ones, so wherever you go, it's going to work. Is that going to be the case?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, check you out. You've got all the tech, haven't you? High-tech circus. So I'll tell you what, Shayna, I'll leave you to it, shall I, for 25 minutes or something like that? Is that cool?
Oh, well, I don't know if I've got that much to talk about. It'd be great to have a chat with you. And I was just going to talk a bit about our company. And then there's a couple of videos that I've sent over. It might be nice to show one of those now, just to start with, possibly the flown one. Okay, give me seconds. I just got hold of those, so I'm just going to dig those out. Why don't you tell everybody what you do, and I'll be looking for that video for you now. Okay, cool. So we're Pirates of the Caribbean. We're based in South Somerset. We started in 2011, and we've got a good personal connection with Glastonbury Festival. So we made our original show Flown for the Circus Big Top in the Theatre and Circus Fields, and it was a commission to be a 40-minute aerial show. We were 8 artists. We put the show together collectively with live music, and that year, that was 2011, it was a really rainy year, so lots of the big outdoor shows like Arcadia and No Fit State Circus were rained off. So actually the audience ended up being full of our contemporaries. And we got a standing ovation for our first show, which was completely unexpected. Wow. And so the company grew out of that first show, basically. And then since then, Flown has toured around the world. We've been to Australia, we've been all over Europe, we've been all over the UK, mostly performing in theatres. We'd love to have our own Circus Big Top, but we don't yet. And Flown is a kind of bonkers show. We've got 11 people on stage, acrobats, aerialists, musicians, and it's kind of contemporary circus, lots and lots of aerial, everything gets flown, hence the title, including a set of drums in the finale and an ironing board. I fly with an ironing board. And yeah, it's quite funny as well. Lots of things go wrong, people fall out of the ceiling, and then that's kind of in contrast to lots of really beautiful moments where lots of things and people fly, and there's singing, and so that's Flown. And we took that to Edinburgh in 2013. We won the Total Theatre Award. We've been at the Minack Theatre. If you don't know the Minack, it's in Cornwall, right on the cliffs, right? Yeah, right on the cliffs. And we were the first circus to go there. So they'd never had a circus. We had to drill holes into the granite in order to put in anchor points, in order to raise our rig and then have big guy lines, basically, so none of it fell over. And it was April, so it was amazing, but it was freezing. So we've been to some really exciting places with that. I wanted to tell you about the title of the company, because it's kind of...
You just dropped out there, sorry.
Sorry?
You just dropped... I've just got somebody... You dropped out for a second then. You want to tell us about something, didn't you?
I want to tell you about the name of the company. So Pirates of the Caribbean came from our 7-year-old nephew in 2009. He came to see myself and Barnes, my partner, in a previous show. And the new Pirates of the Caribbean film had just come out, and he got confused between the circus show that he was watching and Pirates of the Caribbean, and got confused between Caribbean and Carabiner. The show was quite punk, lots of guys with Mohicans and muscles, and he mixed up the two worlds basically.
It's funny actually because
we came up with Pirates of the Caribbean.
We've got a punk thing going on. So I don't know if you saw Bob Geldof and the Boomtown Rats are back. You're probably not old enough to remember them, but they.
Oh, I am.
Oh, you look good from here anyway. So basically, he said he was talking about how in 1975 he had a job working in an abattoir, and it wasn't that they were killing animals that killed him, but he felt they were slaughtering dreams, and those were his words, and that's what put the fire in his belly.
Wow.
To be part of the punk movement, and he's done some great work. I mean, we've been in touch for this, and he wasn't able to help us out. Had a lot on his plate, I was told, which I thought was an ironic thing for someone who did Live Aid and Food and Famine, but that's right. And thanks for the laugh. Yeah, a bit delayed, but not to worry. And well, it's not even funny, is it really? And so we thought about this, and we thought, well, hang on, today's Grandad's Day. And in fact, the granddads, we always used to have this idea that old people would be going to tea at the Ritz and tea parties. But in fact, that was punk rock to my grandma. You know, that was radical to go to the Ritz for a cup of tea or dance, although she was from the country. And in fact, the granddads of today are the punks of 1.0, the first punks from 75. If I'd had kids before.
Oh, there you go.
Do you know what I mean? So we're calling today Here Come the Punks. Last night with Glenn Matlock, Sex Pistols, and it's about, punk isn't necessarily a narrow niche of music. Punk rock might be, but punk is an attitude. It's a culture. It's a vibe. It's about agency. We were talking about this book. I don't know have you ever seen this book, Be More Pirate? Have you ever seen that?
No, not until you sent it to me in that email, and I will check it out.
You will love this.
It sounds great. Tell me about it.
I'll just read you a little bit. The first bit on the front says it all. I'd rather be a pirate than join the Navy. Steve Jobs of Apple. Forget convention. I think this sums it up. Mischief, purpose, power. Pirates didn't just break the rules, they rewrote them. They didn't just reject society, they reinvented it. Pirates didn't just challenge the status quo, they changed every fucking thing. Excuse me, children, so that's what it says here. Every F thing. Pirates faced a self-interested establishment, a broken system, industrial scale disruption, and an uncertain future. Sound familiar? Question mark. And that's the vibe here. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it says. That's word for word. It
does sound familiar.
And that's where we're at now. And I think we have to use drama, dance, circus, all these different forms of art, which we say is what we call it, when what connects us, and the way that you're using it to capture this attitude of agency and the desire to change. And I mean, does that resonate with you and the way that you work? Because people just see jugglers and people on trapezes, but do you bring a sense of that into your performance and your work?
Definitely. And I suppose we're talking about like Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if people watching will know what a carabiner is. It's basically a climbing clip, and it can take weight. So if you've ever done rock climbing, it's what they'll clip onto your rock climbing harness.
Okay.
So as I said, everything gets flown in our shows. So really, we're just talking about sort of mixing it up. And
I've got your video here, Silver Bird.
Trying new stuff.
Shall I pop Silver Bird up?
Show us
That'd be a good time.
Yeah, I mean, flown would be even better if you've got
okay,
that,
I've got them both here.
Silver Bird's a bit more serious.
No, I've got them both. Let's get flown up first then. Okay.
This will probably, hopefully, describe exactly what I'm talking about. See if you can spot an ironing board in there somewhere.
Hang on a second. Got to duplicate my screen for this. Hang on. Right. Okay. So press that button there, and this has got audio as well.
Yeah. Our own music.
Energetic.
It's so much fun.
It's amazing.
Controlled chaos.
Oh, excellent.
Love the music.
Yes, something new all the time.
Absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, we've got sound.
The sound is there, don't worry.
Great, that's all right then. I'm watching it muted.
If you're going to see anything, come and see Flown.
Wow, how fantastic was that? Wow, that was incredible. I just managed to lose Shana there, but not to worry, we'll get her back. Here we go.
We need the video back on.
Sorry about that. That was me. There we go. Sorry about that, Shana. That was fantastic. Tell people what they saw there and give us some context.
So, yeah, that's Flown. One of the things in there, I don't know if you spotted it, there's a guy going up and down a king pole. If I lean to the side, I don't know if you can see this ladder behind me. So we call this a king pole. It's what holds a circus big top up, and normally in a decent sized big top you have at least 4 poles like this. And my partner Barnes basically is an aerial counterweight. So what he does is he climbs up and down this ladder, and then his rigging harness is attached to a rope that goes through a pulley at the top, up to another pulley, and then down to a piece of circus equipment. So I specialise in aerial hoop. I'm an aerialist. And basically when Barnes goes down the ladder, I go up on the hoop. So this is a discipline that we've really honed. When we started doing counterweighting in 2003, there was very little aerial counterweighting going on. We'd seen a little bit in Circus Oz, who are an amazing Australian contemporary circus, but they used it as a really functional thing, as a way of getting an aerialist up in the air without having to climb a rope. And so really we see our acts as being a duet, so they're quite dynamic. We use the weightless point. So if you've ever been over a humpback bridge in a car or been on a boat, it's the feeling, the light feeling that you get basically like at the top of the wave or just as you go over the humpback bridge. So we use that point to do dynamic tricks. We work with another artist, Eric McGill, who's Canadian. Sorry, he trained in Montreal at the circus school that was founded by Cirque du Soleil, and him and Barnes do an act where Eric is on a static trapeze. So the trapeze goes through 2 pulleys over to Barnes, and then Eric's a swinging trapeze artist. So basically that just means that the trapeze is on a pendulum, and he does all his tricks at the front and the back of the swing. And so we've kind of transposed that into a vertical system, which means that when Barnes comes down, Eric goes up and he might pirouette. So we've kind of taken it a stage further. It's really technical, obviously quite dangerous. Eric is wearing a lunge belt. So basically a really strong belt that can take his weight sort of 10 times over, that he can swivel in. And that belt is attached to the trapeze. And then the trapeze is attached kind of indirectly to Barnes's harness, which means that Eric, who's a 6'2" guy, if he falls off the trapeze, he'll be caught by the line, and then Barnes on his harness will catch the whole thing, which means that there's a lot of shock going into Barnes's body. So what we do is below Barnes, we have a tail, literally just the length of rope. And then I'm on the end of that, which means that if Eric falls off, I'm kind of saving Barnes from taking too much of the impact. And also by pulling at the right time, at the weightless point at the top, I can add extra height to Eric's tricks, which basically gives him more time to do his tricks. I hope that makes sense. I can picture it all, so I'm hoping that I'm managing to transfer some of
sounds
that.
fantastic. It's almost a science lesson in one, isn't it? Do you do that?
It is. It's physics.
I mean, this whole thing about STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, maths, I'm a bit bored with it in a way, sort of cramming subjects into categories like that. I mean, for us, it's creativity and bringing all this knowledge and these skills together, really. And I mean, do you do outreach where you kind of explain it like that? Because you could have almost done with a PowerPoint for that, to be honest. A few diagrams and some bags of sugar and bits of string.
Exactly, we do. We've taken an aerial rig to my son's primary school, which is just down the road from us here, a place called Kingsbury Episcopi, and we put the rig up and we flew all the children in the school. And then we've also worked with primary school children. We rigged a load of pulley systems up with different pulley ratios. Anyone that's done sort of basic physics will know about ropes and pulleys, and then put tyres and different weights on the end of the systems, and then ended up with sort of the finale of the workshop as being that the kids get to lift their class teacher, and doing stuff like tug of war. So it's a really practical, hands-on physics lesson. I think it's always better to learn through doing rather than just, textbooks. So yeah, that was a really fun project that we did with Take Art, and their Inspired program, which is local to us in South Somerset.
Fantastic. Did you want to show the other film?
Yeah, and I'd like to tell you about our new lockdown project as well. Do you want to show the film first?
Should we do that first? Yeah, that's fantastic. We've got about 5-10 minutes left. I'll play the film now then, and get the audio on. And
so this is filmed in the Glastonbury Festival Circus Big Top.
Oh wow!
In 2015, and it's myself and Barnes, my partner, counterweighting me, with a massive burial hoop that's 2 meters across. And the musician is a man called Tom Pod, who is an amazing American musician. And he wrote this song. It's called Silver Bird.
Here's I glide so high, look upon the clouds that lie between two lands, so far away. The silver bird, oh, she flies. To the ends of the earth I see expanding my reality of people waving so far below to a silver bird in the sky. A silent world way up here. There's no laughing, there's no tears, just colors of blue crystal shades through which the silver bird she must fly. Well, the sun shows a bright, shiny face, moving along in a time-cold race, leaving nothing to see behind but a silver bird in the sky.
That's absolutely beautiful, isn't it, Shana? Wow, what amazing work.
It's fun.
I bet it is. Gosh, can I come to
we
Glastonbury
say
next
we
year?
get to play for a living. That's our sort of, yeah.
Well,
That's our line.
They do say if you get a job you love, you never work a day in your life, don't they? That's the phrase I think it's often used.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a lot
circus.
of hard work as well. The whole company tends to do like get-ins and stuff when we go into a theatre, and it's a 2-day build-up. So as you can see with that, like our work requires a lot of height. We sort of normally want at least 8 meters of height for our flying. This workshop that I'm in, we've got about 5, and we've built a mini counterweight system for lockdown.
That's your workshop, is it?
Yeah, this is our workshop. Yeah.
Right, and is that a 2-story building without a floor in it, or is it just?
I'm just on a little mezzanine, basically. So yeah, it's
fantastic.
not quite 2-story.
I remember some of the most fantastic events and experiences I've had at a circus. I mean, Gifford Circus is famous. That's a lovely experience, isn't it? And I'll never forget going to see us. Some friends of mine, when I was living in Finsbury Park, said, "We're going to the circus tonight. Do you want to come?" I said, "Oh, whatever, okay." And I went along, and it was a little big top where the stage was kind of built onto the side of a lorry, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And halfway through the set, the driver got out of the van, who was like this bossy little roadie bloke with a high-vis jacket, fun enough, an orange high-vis jacket. And he sort of told everybody to hurry up and literally shuffled them all off stage and packed everything into the back of the lorry and drove off in the middle of the show and literally drove this van through the audience. And it turned out to be Circus Our Chaos, you know, who then were massive, weren't they? And it was one of the forerunners for those guys. And, you know, I mean, I think what's fascinating to me is the blurring between a lot of these divisions now. You know, you got circus, television, radio. What is it? You know, at the heart of it is creativity, is culture, is community, is humanity. And and I think what's happening now is everybody's reevaluating themselves. I mean, within 2 days of lockdown being announced, I've managed to equip this studio and do what we're doing here, good or bad.
Brilliant.
And yeah, thanks. But a lot of organisations didn't have that agility. They had more health and safety issues to worry about than I've got, just looking after myself. But they're slowly coming out, and we were hoping to get Nigel Slater's. He's doing a thing called Toast. His play, his book is being done by a theatre in Huddersfield, and they're doing it online. But you have to have a walnut whip and a piece of lemon meringue pie with you, so it makes it a bit more of an experience. You know, and is that theatre or is that book? And it strikes me, I presume you got Emergency Arts Council funding as well, did you, for what you're doing?
We did. So,
good.
Yeah, we got Emergency Arts Council money, which was amazing. Thank you, Arts Council.
Absolutely. Thanks to you, National Lottery. Yeah.
It's just, quite incredible. We had a whole summer planned with a kind of small interactive project based around a London taxi, an FX4, so like an old school London taxi.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea was to take that out into communities with an aerial rig, kind of a crane that comes off the roof that we operate manually by having one person on one end and an aerialist on the other end, and to basically do workshops with local communities and in exchange for stories which we feed into the show. So that project in its kind of all singing or dancing version has been put on hold because at the moment we don't know, I mean, in terms of where we're at in terms of the government sort of legislation and this pandemic, we can now rehearse remotely, but we can't yet perform live. But we're hoping to that's called Pirate Taxi, and we're hoping to take that out this summer just locally. So I think we're planning to take it out to Kingsbury Episcopi, which is a local village, and do a small scale version of that, a kind of pilot. And we're working with a Somerset theatre company called Wassail for that. And then we're also, what we got the Arts Council money for was to do a project called Place Displace. So we're working with 2 other circus artists as well as Barnes and I. One's in Bristol, one's in Cardiff. And then we're working with an artist who is an illustrator, painter, ceramicist, amazing kind of multimedia artist. And we're doing a weekly video call all together, and then we're devising remotely. So we're kind of playing tag, you know, that game where you draw a head and then you fold the paper over and you pass it on to the next person, and they draw the shoulders and the torso. We're kind of doing that creatively. So we only started last week. It's a 10-week project, and it's a real experiment. But basically last week, one of the aerialists is in Bristol rehearsing in the back of a lorry box, so he's only got 8 foot of height, and his feet can touch the walls, but he's got
he's rehearsing in the back of a lorry. He's doing trapeze rehearsals in the back of a lorry. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's something to think about, isn't it?
He made a little bit of choreography and then passed it on to the other circus artist in Cardiff, who has built a mini aerial rig in his bedroom, bearing in mind he's a swinging trapeze artist, so he normally has loads of height. And then he added onto it, and then he passed it to me. And we're in our circus HQ, so we've got more height, and we've got quite a lot of shipping containers with all the circus equipment in. So we're trying to sort of replicate similar spaces, and then the visual artist is working on creating a mini theatre space. We're working with projections, and we may well project some of her artwork, either animated or just as a still image, onto us in different spaces and kind of layer kind of projected versions of ourselves. It's very early days.
It sounds brilliant. I'd love to collect. You've used a word there. You've used the W word quite a lot instead of the C word. W for with. You're working with lots of other organisations. Last year we had a thing called #ArtConnects19. This year, inspired by something Nile Rodgers said, he said, "My life is a collaboration." So this year is #Collaborate20. Next year we want to hit the road and call it #InspireNation21, because in 2022 the government have got £120 million for a national festival of creativity that was designed to stick the country back together after Brexit. I think we've got to stick the country back together after lockdown, and so we're going to call that #Festival22. But it really is all about working together, and I mean you are now in our top 5 favourite art organisations, theatre groups, up there with people like Continental Drifts and Chris Tofu and the great stuff they do. Love those guys. I don't know if you do Camp Festival, but they have an aerial. They have caravan. Have you ever been to Camp Festival?
Do you know what? I've never been to Camp Festival.
How old are your children?
Some friends of ours, Cirque du Jeu, were often there. And when we first started out performing, like back in the millennium 2000, we worked all the time with Continental Drifts. They were like our main agents.
They're brilliant. Well, we
had lots of fun.
Chris builds a thing called Caravanserai at Camp Festival. So you've got this crazy festival, which is brilliant anyway. And they've built a little enclave. The Caravanserai, I think, in the desert is where they kind of used to go and feed and water the camels, and the camel riders would go and drink and make merry. And basically, they've built it out of old fairground rides, waltzers and dodgems, and they've got caravans cut in half, and it's really like going into an archaeos type environment. And they have a high wire in there. They've got a DJ up on a little tower. I actually got a DJ. Yep. Chris gave me a DJ spot on the Saturday night at 8:30 for half an hour, which was fantastic. My kids are teenagers. My kids disowned me because they're teenagers, and obviously they're all in bed now, and then they'll soon be back on their PlayStations. But I actually did a vinyl set of old sort of 80s hip hop stuff, and my son fist bumped me over the decks, and I was DJing in the back of an Addams Family style hearse buried at 45 degrees into the ground, which had DJ deck set in it. It was just a moment of my life. So we're actually doing a Camp Festival has a thing called Art Town, which is a massive marquee full of arts, painting, drawing, cutting, the typical vision of the arts. And Rob's asked us to do an Art Town takeover at the end of July. So our next 3-day festival is a #Art Town takeover. And we're going to redefine art as we do, whether it's cooking, coding, painting, photography, robots, rockets, dance, DJing, cartooning, circus, so these are the arts, and your art is circus, your art is entertainment, your art is physical, everything, and all these things. So really lovely to meet you, and hope we can keep in contact.
Yeah, lovely to meet you. Maybe we'll have something from this project place to share with you.
Well, that would be lovely. Please
see how it goes.
Please do give us a shout when you're performing next. And the point I wanted to make earlier is I've got to say to everybody, what we're doing today is pretend. So I have to hold this sign up every once in a while. Just remind everybody, this is pretend. The children you see sitting on the floor are not really there live. This is a photo that I took 2 years ago when I was at this school. All the video footage.
I did wonder about that.
Yeah, we should have said, because someone's going to phone in and complain that the children aren't socially distancing. Yeah. This school has not shut. It was the Community School of the Year 2 years ago in the Times Education Supplement. They take every child in that community who needs to be educated. They don't worry about special needs. They've got alternative provision. Children that would normally be excluded are in this school. So we're so proud to be here, because this school is a symbol of inclusivity. It's a symbol of community. It's a symbol of creativity and giving every child the best chance and the best start in life. And I think I can see your form, your medium. If you had that trail, if you got the money together for that taxi and a lorry, and your friend's rehearsal lorry had a side that could pop off, people don't need to be crammed into a theatre to see what you do they? You could go and perform anywhere. You could be at one end of a football pitch.
We've got loads of vehicles in the yard. We've got a big lorry, but everything's off the road at the moment. And we're just in that position of working out how we can take stuff out and how we can still teach workshops in a socially distant way. I mean, circus is a really hands-on physical thing. So I normally teach workshops at Yeovil College, which is really close to us, and all of that's on hold at the moment. Wow. The whole kind of entertainment industry is massively up in the air.
I know.
But we will survive and we will find ways. It's what we're good at. We're one of the most kind of resourceful communities that there is. So
it's another form
watch this space.
It's another form of creativity, if you like, isn't it?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, have you heard of a lorry called Excalibur?
No.
Excalibur is the most wonderful lorry in the world. It's a lorry that I desperately want to rent. It's actually £5,000 a day to rent, believe it or not. I've been offered it for £1,000, and I might crowdsource this. Because Excalibur, once they park it, they press a button, literally, and it's a big articulated lorry, like a full-length one. You know, the ones that they deliver co-op have for their food. And the top literally folds open, and a video screen comes out of the top of this lorry, which is the size of a football pitch. Oh, actually, not the size of a football, like the size of a tennis pitch. And I'm just going to put a picture up now and show you, because we rented a small version of this. We did a day in a school in Bradford. I was driving to Bradford one day to do a workshop in a school, and the teacher, the music teacher, I was literally listening to Radio 4, and as I drove over the fells and came down into Bradford, the Radio 4 News Today program said, delighted to announce that a music teacher in Bradford has just been shortlisted for the $1 million Global Teacher Prize. Last year it was won by a lady called Andrea Zafarakou, who's an amazing teacher in Brent. And it was only the music teacher that I was going to see that day.
Great.
And basically I made a phone call and I managed to borrow, just see if I've got the video here. And I managed to borrow I'm trying to type and talk. I managed to bag a £3,000 video screen on the lorry for £300. And they said, when do you want it? I said, at lunchtime. So literally, all the children wondered what was going on. There was a lot of fuss in the playground, and an articulated lorry turned up in the school playground, and a screen folded off the top. And I did the presentation that I would have done in the school. I actually did it in the school playground, and I showed the children a film of me when I was 1. I'm just about to pull it up now, actually. So this is a video on the screen now, if it's going to play. Gosh, PowerPoint under pressure. That's, how often have I been on the pyramid stage putting a PowerPoint presentation together, for goodness sake. So I'm going to cut to that now. So on the screen, you can see me with my dad. And my first ever train set. And I love showing that to kids because that was the day my dad showed me how to use my imagination. And that's really quite a powerful thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? When a parent spends time with a child with a train set or a pencil or a box and gives them that opportunity in life, that creativity. Did you have any moments like that when you were a child that gave you that spark?
Yeah, I did. Well, I'm from a family of artists. So my mum was a sculptor and then an art therapist. My dad was a writer. My big sister's an actress and the other one's a dancer. So there was a lot of creativity in the family. And yeah, it was never really questioned when I said, right, I want to be a circus artist. And I was inspired to become a circus artist from seeing an outdoor aerial show at Glastonbury in '95 when I was 17. And I saw these women being really strong and doing amazing things with their bodies, and just was completely grabbed by that moment. And that made me go, right, that's what I want to do. It was a real strong calling, for want of a better word. Yeah.
Well, 29% of parents in a survey recently have said they would actively discourage their children from pursuing a career in the creative industries. And that's the challenge. Our challenge isn't necessarily political policy, because that's dictated by voters. If we can convince the voters, parents, teachers, other people who have a vested interest in our future and understanding it requires creativity in the mix, if we can convince those people, that we might stand a chance of promoting this agenda. I'm actually going to press a button here, because while you've been talking, a mysterious hand has been drawing on a pad. And that's somebody who also had a very lucky start in life. His mother he wanted to draw and he'd run out of paper. So his mother literally went to the local paper mill and bought him a big pack of paper. And he started drawing, and I don't think he stopped since. And the loveliest aspect of that is every time he did a drawing and didn't use the whole page, his mum would cut the bit that he hadn't used out and put it back in the pack. So over a period of time, he ended up drawing on smaller and smaller pieces of paper until he got paid for them and could have all whole sheets again. Chris Riddell, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I've just been, as you say, sketching while I've been listening to you chat, which is lovely.
Shana here is from the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a pirate-influenced circus troupe, as you've heard. Anything you'd like to say to her? It's not every chance you get the chance to interview a circus operator. And Shana, I should just say that Chris is the political cartoonist of The Observer. Be very careful what you say, because he'll just draw it and get you into all sorts of trouble, especially if your name is Dominic.
I knew he would come up. I think circus is a wonderful thing. I love physical theatre in all its forms, and I think the circus is a great place. I just was moved to pick up this book, which is a book called Corby Flood. It's quite old, but I just wanted to show the Brotherhood of Clowns, who are on a tour in this book. Here they all are, and they are actually named after different typefaces, which is a little sort of conceit I had. So they're being led by Times Roman, and they have
lovely
Mr. Garamond and Franklin Gothic, Mr. Bembo, Mr. Palatino, Mr. Times Roman. And they're very serious as performers, and they get very cross if you laugh at them, because, as they say, nobody laughs at the Brotherhood of Clowns.
Is there a Comic Sans in there, out of interest?
I think Comic Sans is their manager.
There is a Comic Sans, because I always thought that Comic Sans is one of those awful fonts that's just been invented by Microsoft, who know about technology but not necessarily the subtleties of typography.
It's the worst font in the world. I mean, it's controversial to say that as a cartoonist, but no, it barely qualifies as a typeface.
Shana, got a question or anything you'd like to ask Chris, or vice versa?
No, I look forward to seeing what you draw this morning. I'll hang about. And
well, here we go then. What's happening politically? What's happening politically for you, Shana? What do you think you should draw from a political perspective at some stage this morning?
Oh, what about a bunch of performers on a stage with no one in the audience?
A bunch
of theatre stage with no one in the audience.
So basically,
that's a challenge.
A drawing that captures the emptiness of our theatres.
I see. I think you've just described the coronavirus briefing, which we used to enjoy every sort of tea time, and unfortunately, due to popular demand, they've taken that off.
Have they? I didn't know.
We don't get to see, the performers there anymore. But it's good to know that the principal performer, this chap called Boris, who was, one of the stars of the coronavirus review, he's actually fighting fit now. So. You can actually see wonderful photographs of him doing press-ups on the front of one of our Sunday newspapers, just to prove what a fantastic leader he is.
Well, they do say, actually, with regards to news, that if something is in the news or on the front page, it doesn't mean it's happening very often. So if you see an awful story about an elderly lady who's been mugged and beaten, if it's on the front page, you have to say to yourself, at least it doesn't happen very often, because things that happen often don't tend to get written about. So can we assume, therefore, that because Boris Johnson is doing some press-ups on the front page of the paper, it's not something he does very often, unless there's a camera handy, do you think, Chris?
From the look of his beach body, sort of physique, I think you're probably right, Nick.
We couldn't, obviously, this is not a political show, because we don't do party politics, we do policy and satire, which gives us enough scope, I think, don't you, Chris?
I think so. We've got the Pirates of Downing Street. I don't know whether Shane could make people turn that into a show. And we have sort of Long John Boris, or is that Long Boris Johnson, and his sidekick, who you can see has 2 eye patches, because he does have trouble with his eyesight.
Absolutely wonderful. So, Chris, do you think we should save this one? So today everything that Chris draws today is going to be a prize in a competition for you drawing. Draw something. We don't care how good, how bad you are. As long as you draw something, then it's a good drawing if you did it yourself. So anything you draw or doodle and you put up on the internet, and we'll put the hashtags up in a moment, we will give these pictures as prizes. I think the first one, I don't know about your politics, Shane. I can imagine you're quite right-wing with your views on piracy and drama and arts and that sort of stuff. So would this offend you if we let you have this picture, Shane? Would that be a nice thank you present for today? Would you like that? A satirical view of...
I would. I don't know if I want to be reminded of Boris Johnson on a daily basis. That's the only thing I'd say. But I do like the way that you're presenting him.
Well, I'll tell you what then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, in that case then, we'll give that one to Kate, and we'll just see if by any chance Chris does something that's not quite so doom and gloom laden, because obviously doom and gloom sells papers, the Observer, the Guardian, or the Daily Mail, or the Sun, or the Telegraph. Everybody needs a bit of gloom and doom in their lives. So I'm sure Chris will probably do something a bit more optimistic about Circus, and if not, we've got some beautiful illustrations, because he so generously sent us everything he did the other week. In an hour, Chris Riddell can knock out, and I shouldn't use that phrase, can skillfully craft 20, 30 pictures. There you go, there's one, there's another. Look at that beautiful one there. Look, this is just such a joy to see. Shane, I'm going to have to let you go, because I've actually got a man coming on now who we've named today after. His name is Tony. Today is Grandad's Day, because we like to focus on the 3 generations on our weekend. So the first day is for the young people, the kids, we call it Kids' Day. The second day is Mum's Day, Dad's Day, Creative Carers Day, because we feel that most of the people in that generation are our creative carers of today, as well as the older generation. Today's Granddad's, Grandma's Day, Senior's Day. And today is named Tony's Day, after a man who runs the world's biggest free art festival for children. Do you know where that is? Have you heard of that, Shana? Chris, have you heard of that art festival? Do you know what it is, where it is?
It rings a bell.
Any ideas, Chris? The world's biggest free arts festival for children.
My goodness. Is it in the UK?
It is in the UK. We're going to play that game. I like that. I love it. Should we play hot or cold? Come on then, hot or cold?
Is it in the West Country?
It is in the West Country. Hot. Come on, Shane, get one in, because we've got rocket brains on the go here.
It's the children's festival, is it?
Which one? I can't give hot or cold to that. It is. It's Kidsfield at Glastonbury. Kidsfield at Glastonbury has been run for 25 years by an amazing man called Tony Corby, who travels around the UK, certainly used to, with a big double-decker bus, and he's got thousands of people that work there, that artists. They're all part of his extended family. He's got a big enough family of his own. And I'm going to have to say goodbye to you now, Shana, because I'm going to say goodbye to you and shut the call down, because we've got Tony Corby coming on here now, who is a wonderful man. He's incredibly creative. He's incredibly personable. He is so generous. I mean, he wouldn't give us that, because he's got his family and his circus people to look out for. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, Shana. Thank you so much.
Tell him how much I love the Kidsfield. We always go there every year. It's amazing, really amazing what they do. So we'll look forward to it next year.
Yes, and we'll look forward to seeing you, and stay safe and keep that work up.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Keep up the good work.
All right, mate. Bye-bye. Wow. That was a lovely chat, wasn't it, Chris?
It was. Lovely to hear from performing arts.
Absolutely. And it is this rich breadth, isn't it? And I wish I could pretend that I'd actually handle this, but it's just kind of come together really nicely now. Melinda, can you send me Tony's Skype details? I don't seem to Even though I haven't got Tony on the system, I don't know why. So if you could pop Tony Cordy's Skype details in there for me, but that'd be great. Yes, before that, I mean, it's such a broad circle. You've already drawn kids for God blink, so you've drawn kids for Chris. That's amazing. I'm going to. What have you been up to since we last saw you? What's the cartoon today, Nibs? I haven't been able to get the paper.
I've drawn a board game for this Sunday. It's a game of Monopoly. And there's this man called Robert Jenrick who is doing rather well at this game of Monopoly. He's got a one of those get out of jail free cards that his friend Dominic Cummings has lent him. So it looks like he's going to actually do quite well at this board game.
And this is basically something to do with property and dodginess, is it?
Yes, surprisingly. It's amazing if you have if you go to a fundraising dinner and you're worried about a tax bill. If you sit next to someone from the government, you can sort of get them to change a little bit of their sort of planning and escape your tax liabilities. Who knew?
Well, that sounds pretty damn good, doesn't it? Gosh, and this is something that anybody can do. I presume. So it's wonderful. Where do we sign up for that?
Well, you need to be part of. I think it's called Billionaires Club, and so so it is fairly restricted access. I think so. You and I probably don't have that facility. We just got to pay our taxes. But if you're incredibly rich, you can possibly swing this.
I see. I've actually got this up on screen now. You've got a green box of some sort, and obviously he's dancing on what's Barnard Castle and Opticians? Oh, that's that famous place you can drive to and get your eyes tested while you're driving, can't you? As well, it's fantastic.
That's right. Yep, absolutely. That's a perfect place to do that.
And you've got another game in the picture there as well, by the look of it.
Yes, that is a game of Cluedo, and unfortunately one of the cards has been damaged.
Oh, they've ripped one in half. Poor lady, she's been ripped in half and looks like she's been chucked out the box, has she? By the look of it, that one. That is a shame.
Yes, absolutely.
Does anybody have any idea who did it, who done it, or whatever? It's a who done it, that game, isn't it? Do you know who done it?
Yes, it was somebody in the library, I think, possibly with a candlestick.
Gosh.
Messy.
Sorry, I lost you there. It's messy something, you said, did you?
A messy business.
It is a messy business. Gosh, blimey. Tory Monopoly, that says there. Gosh, I have to move on quickly. We won't be doing any politics on this show. Now the buffoon in chief is doing press ups in the Mail on Sunday. I need to drive to Barnard Castle now. Gosh.
That's a little daily sketch that I do, Nick, in this sketchbook, the 5 years sketchbook. This is volume 3, so I've been sort of busy with this sort of from the 18th of March. We've got a troll clapping for Brexit. We've got Donald Trump doing something unspeakable with a lightsaber. We've got Boris at a bus stop. He's about to throw a scientist under the bus.
And this is your personal selection, is it?
It is. Boris clapping for the NHS. Oh dear, a rather doomy figure. Second wave, possibly. That's Dominic Cummings showing his support for everyone. And there they are again, the two of them.
So Chris, can you go back? I think I missed something. This is like a counting book, isn't it? So this is like counting with the toys. So he's got one finger up. Oh, I see. That's him. That's a secret symbol, a signal of some sort. So he's got one finger up.
It's like half a Churchill victory salute.
Right. And what's the next one then? So that's one. We've got the hang of this. Is I'll learn to count with the Conservative Party. Number 2. So two fingers there. Okay. And what does that say there? Lockdown rules.
Not as we do.
Lockdown rules for what does it say on the book, Chris? Sorry.
Trolls.
Trolls. Gosh. And Mr. Cummings makes it in that one as well. So he really is hanging around, isn't he? Fantastic. Can't shake him off. I stayed at home. Protected the NHS, saved lives. That's fair enough. I mean, if you feel you can say that, that's a wonderful thing to be able to say, isn't it, in this day and age?
Sort of, a little bit, not really. Can we change the subject?
Oh, Chris, don't spoil it with the small print, please. Can you make the big writing just a little bit brighter and bolder? And then, we don't need to worry about any details. Fantastic.
And here we are on a trip to Barnard Castle.
You sent a very similar one to that the other week, didn't you, after your last session?
I certainly did.
That's
So this is a little run through, Nick, of what I've been drawing, over the years. That's a rather doomy one.
And they're in a book that you keep as your special selection, do you?
Yes, it's really just every day to stop myself shouting at the newspaper. I do a drawing. Now, since we're in the West Country with Glastonbury, here's one of the great members for the West of England, the dishonourable member for the 18th century. There he is, Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Well, if I saw Jacob Rees-Mogg, I'd just tug my hat and tug my forelock. I mean, he's an honourable gentleman. He's been to, I believe, Eton, and
Yep.
is very wealthy, and I think we should be looking up to him. So I hope that wasn't a negative observation that you've made there in any shape or form. This is that's green, isn't it?
Portrayal. And this is a Black Lives Matter drawing I did with a wonderful sort of quote from the poet Warson Shire.
Would you read that to us, Chris? I think that'd be lovely, actually.
It says, later that night, I held an atlas in my lap, ran my fingers across the whole world and whispered, "Where does it hurt?" It answered, "Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere."
Wow. Black Lives Matter. I mean, what are your thoughts around that? We had a very special evening the other night, a young lady who is a teaching assistant in Bolton, and she had I saw her on an online arts conference the week before, and she'd drawn the Black Power fist, the clenched fist, which is very much part of I think the Tom Robinson band actually had that as their logo back in the day.
Yes, it's a great symbol, isn't it, of resistance. I remember that as an ANC salute as well during the days of apartheid and anti-apartheid rallies. I think the key issue here, I think, goes sort of so deep into society, but it goes back. I think it's an historical issue. And I think one of the great things that we can do, all of us, is revise our view of history. And I think history needs to be revised. Each generation needs to look back at their history and bring a new understanding to it. And I think we're at a stage now where we need to reevaluate the history that we teach our children. The history of colonialism and the history of appropriation of sort of funds and resources from around the world, and the narratives that we've built up over the years, which I think are being questioned, I think, in a very good way. So I'm all in favour of pulling down statues to people with very, very sort of questionable historical biographies, not least Edward Colston, who was dethroned from Bristol. And that's a statue I remember from my childhood when I was a little boy in Bristol and used to go down to the docks. We would see Edward Colston on his statue, on his plinth, and one just imagined this must be a great and honourable man. Little did we know. My caption, it's one of the dolphins that embellishes the plinth, and the dolphin saying, "It's not criminal damage, but a completely reasonable mass eyesight test."
It's interesting. I'm getting a bit of audio feedback there. I've got somebody coming on later on today, who's the niece of a gentleman called DJ Derek. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. Have you heard of DJ Derek?
I haven't. He sounds very interesting.
Well, he was an accountant at the Cadbury's factory in Bristol, and he basically loved reggae music. And there's a lovely conversation I heard that he's talking about the very first time he saw black people in Bristol, because he was told to cross the road if ever a black person was walking towards him as a child. And then he found out that he went up to some Caribbean people and said, "Are you from where the music comes from?" And they said yes, because he had this mad passion for dub reggae and calypso and salsa. And he amassed a collection of 30,000 reggae and dub records and ended up becoming a celebrity. So in his 80s, he was DJing at Glastonbury, he was DJing at Camp Festival, He was DJing at the Big Chill. He was DJing at Llama Tree. And there's a rapper called Busy Rascal you may have heard of. It was quite a big name in the rap world. And DJ Derek actually featured in his video. So Dizzy Rascal turns up at a gig in a massive stretch limousine with lots of groupies, and then walked into this village hall, and DJ Derek, an 80-year-old man, is DJing, and it's just fantastic. And tragically, he had a bit of a breakdown and passed away a couple of years ago. And his niece has actually started a campaign to get a statue raised in Bristol for DJ Derek, because of the way that, as a white person, a lover of multicultural music and essentially black music, and if you look at it like that, he is just as much a symbol of integration, of solidarity, of community, as anybody, and that's the vibe, really. So I'm gonna move swiftly on, Chris, because I'm delighted to say that just over here, when I press this button here, we've actually got, not that button there, that button there, we have got the legendary Tony Cordy from, hello Tony. Tony Cordy has, as I said earlier, Chris, he runs and has run the Kids Field for 25 years at Glastonbury. Hello Tony, how are you today?
I'm very good, my friend.
Brilliant. Chris, have you got a second screen by any chance? Are you able to see what's going out, or are you just on the one camera?
I'm just on the one camera, I'm afraid.
Well, you'll have to watch this on repeats later, because Tony's got the most colourful Kids Field t-shirt on. He's got the most colourful display behind him. Tony, meet Chris Riddell, who's the political cartoonist of The Observer, and be very careful, because everything you say, Tony, he will draw.
Okay. Well, as long as it's a bit better than the Martin Barr photo essay that The Guardian printed this week, I'm very happy.
Well, sir, I'm lost. I haven't had time to read the papers. Come on.
Well, there was somebody sent me, obviously, because, a thousand crew and kids I take down to Glastonbury, and hundreds of people have been in touch, and people have been sending me all this sort of stuff. By the way, my screen's gone blank. I can't see you anymore.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Don't forget, I've blanked you out because I don't want to be in the corner. If you want to see us, you'll need a second screen with the output on it.
All right. Okay.
But don't worry, just chat away. It's all good.
So all sorts of stuff, quite all the sort of feed has been coming back to me, the BBC stuff and everything, which sadly hasn't included any children's stuff in it at all.
You are kidding me.
There's been no film of the Kids Field, and very little, hardly anything of the Green Fields, or it's just been concentrating on the Pyramid stage, which is great because 200,000 odd people go to Glastonbury, but actually the main stages are only open for a short period of time, and all the rest of the time it's all that crew and all those people that hold the whole festival together that have part of it. But sadly the BBC haven't chosen to show any of that side of it.
Wow, that's almost like drawing a map with a great big hole in it, where actually one of the most important and creative things is.
It's sort of sad, because if you haven't been to Glastonbury, you don't really get the vibe. All you get to do is see your favourite band that you know and you've seen anyway all over the place, and it's a bit uninclusive.
That seems absolutely ridiculous, Tony, if you ask me. And I mean, the other thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I mean, Glastonbury, a lot of people, obviously it just gets a lot of stick because people do like to criticise anything that's good vibes, and we're used to that, and the mainstream media.
Well, there may be the people that have never been and can't get a ticket, to be honest.
Well, there you go, maybe that's what it is. But the other thing I've noticed whenever I'm there, that the Glastonbury raise lots of money for 3 or 4 good causes, don't they? Water Aid, Oxfam, Greenpeace.
Loads of causes. Water Aid, Greenpeace, CND. There's a whole load of causes. And, Michael, to be fair, he supports all these local cricket clubs and, old people's homes and, loads and loads of the local causes. Make good money out of it.
But what I don't get there is you never see that on the television, because the adverts are on the bottom of the stage, and whenever I look, you don't see them on the TV. You think they'd want that publicity? What's that all about, Tony?
Yeah, I don't. Well, it's sort of this weird thing, isn't it, that the BBC pretends that it's not political. It has this absolute nonsense. Oh no, we don't do anything political, and yet we all know from the last few months, and particularly the last election, that the BBC is incredibly political and he's pumping out a particular sort of mainstream view, which, I mean, in the last few months we've seen is just basically government propaganda. Simple as.
I couldn't possibly comment, Tony. What do you think about that, Chris?
I do love the BBC, I've got to say, but I love it in a qualified way. I love it when they promote arts. I love it when they promote literature, poetry, music. I'm a great fan of all the music output that they do. But there is a sort of sense in which you know that they are doing their job if they're criticised by both sides of the political debate. And I think they go through sort of highs and lows. So as an organisation, I think it has its failings, and they should always be pointed out. But any organisation that is regularly attacked by Tory MPs can't be all bad.
I should point out actually that Tony Corby is actually the most loyal member of the Conservative Party that they never actually had.
Absolutely, I love those Tories.
So Tony, what have you been up to this weekend? What's a BBC Glastonbury, a weekend of repeats? Who could want more than that? What's it brought to you this weekend?
Well, I'm hoping that in your green screen, but weirdly, I'm sure last time we talked, I could sort of see you, even though it was in delay.
You were on a second screen. You had another screen up.
Oh, maybe I did. I don't know how I worked that, but anyway.
I'm going to get some little videos and put them up while you're talking.
Yes, that's what I'd love you to do.
I'll do that.
That's despite the fact that we've kind of been a bit left out in the cold by the festival and the media and so forth. We've been putting together a whole load of videos from our 26 years that are up on kidsfield.com. and also Kidsfield Twitter or Kidsfield Instagram. And there's just loads of beautiful videos that are put together to show you what really goes on in the Kidsfield, because there's so much. I mean, even with the videos we put up, it's not actually possible to show the amount of stuff that's on offer in the Kidsfield. It's, is phenomenal. It is Europe's largest free open air festival for children, because all the kids for 12 and under come into Glastonbury Festival completely free.
And that's an incredible thing to be able to say, isn't it? We've got this lovely...
Yeah, and all the rides, all the workshops, the face painting, every single thing is free in the Kidsfield. And we don't promote anything. We don't let anybody sell anything. Even the sort of storytellers and artists and stars that come aren't allowed to sort of sell their product in the Kidsfield. We just don't do any of that nonsense.
Absolutely fantastic. So we've got your red bus up on the screen at the moment with you changing gear and clanking it along.
Oh yes, yeah. My wonderful. Ironically, because it's the number plate is Ed, my children christened it Fast Ed. Rather ironically, because the top speed is actually 52 miles an hour. But that bus has been all over Europe. It's been over the Pyrenees, up the Picos. It's, I've done festivals all over Europe, and we travelled all over Europe, myself and my partner, for several years. After 1984, we left the country in 1984. It was sort of shutdown time with Maggie Thatcher battering everybody, and thereby missing the whole Beanfield and all the horrendous stuff that happened after Stonehenge.
That was shocking, wasn't it? Yeah. I did a live stream, actually. I was going to do it at 10 to 5 when the sun came up. So I was still up at 2:30. I did it then. And I live streamed from Stonehenge and then mixed in the footage of the Beanfield. I mean, you must have had a lot of friends involved in that. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's sad. I know all those people. There was a young lad who sort of featured quite heavily, like a lad called Stig, I think his name was. And you see him coming towards the cameras with bleeding from his forehead, being dragged by the police, 12-year-old who'd been battered. Yeah, it was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But then, we've been through a long period of compliance. That's what's happened in this country for a long time. It's been this sort of compliance and beating down the natives, whether they're, unions, the post workers, the miners, Grunwick. We've been through a whole lot of this stuff for a long time. And that's why, actually, for me, seeing Colson's statue pulled down after years of debate and being told, oh, no, we can't do this and all the rest of it, I actually think it was one of the most wonderful things that I've ever seen during lockdown, because nobody was hurt. Just a slaver's statue was pulled down. And, I thought I knew everything about it. But now, I didn't know that every man, woman and child was branded on the chest, RAC. I didn't know that we'd only just paid off the reparations in 2014. There's a whole load of stuff that's come out. So whatever way you look at it, a conversation's been had and education is being provided. Much more education than having those statues up, with ridiculous plaques on them saying how virtuous they were.
Absolutely. I mean, it's shocking. We've got the footage being filled up now, and to think, the police, the behaviour there was shocking, and there was talk of, at that time, a lot of the police were actually army soldiers, weren't they? In
oh yeah, in ill-fitting police uniforms. And with all the nonsense that's talked about the free festivals of the 80s and Stonehenge and everything, they weren't actually, they were not harming people. They were places for kids to get out, kids who had no money to get out and have fun. I remember having meetings with, various dignitaries and MPs when, in the build up to, what ended up as the Beanfield, and saying to these people, listen, if you don't give kids an outlet, if you don't give them somewhere to express themselves and be inspired and dance and have music and all that stuff, they're going to smash up your cities. And I'm afraid, we're sort of beginning to see a bit of that happening now with these sort of, supposedly illegal street parties happening in Brixton and Manchester and all the rest of it. Because, people need to be able to get out and dance and express themselves. You can't just lock people in front of a TV, however good Skype or streaming or YouTube channels are.
Absolutely, I can't argue with any of that. And we're having a thing today. We're trying to get people to go outside and have a hashtag a little big lunch, where basically people just go to that spot that they might have a few weeks ago been clapping for carers, teachers, health workers, and just have their lunch at that same spot, because apparently we've got care for carer fatigue now. People haven't got the energy to keep caring for carers, apparently. So basically what we're suggesting...
There's a lot of irony involved, isn't it? The people that... in December voted for the Tories, who said that the care workers were, unwaged, unskilled people, and have refused them a pay rise while they were voting themselves one, who are now out clapping. I mean, I think it's quite hard, I know a lot of I have a lot of friends who are nurses and doctors and surgeons and so forth. And, a lot of them have said, well, it's all very good, but we actually can't pay for our shopping with your clapping.
Yeah, well, and that's fair enough. It's almost like cheap thanks, isn't it? Cheap words are cheap. So basically, we want everybody's going to have their lunch on that spot for an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to take some speakers outside. I'm going to build myself a pyramid stage out of big carpet tubes that the carpets come in. We're going to have our lunch under a pyramid stage today. And I think is that enough?
Because of course, for many years, I was part of this infamous group called the Tibetan Ukrainian Mountain Troop, and we did all the free festivals, all Greenham Common, Molesworth, all of those places, and we used to transport Nick Turner's pyramid stage, which was made out of the scaffolding that was sort of was borrowed from the Rolling Stones Hyde Park gig. And that was the free festival main stage for many, many years, Nick Turner's pyramid stage. And, big up to Nick Turner. Hawkwind, ex-Hawkwind man.
Okay. You've got
the pyramid thing goes back a long time for me.
I'm on your website now, actually. You've got some beautiful photography here, haven't you? Which really...
Please, take my stupid gurning face off and show some of that.
It is on there, don't worry. No, we haven't... Broadcasting regulations limit the amount of people like you were allowed to display or hear from. Most of what you said's been muted.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure I'm on every list.
GCHQ has muted most of this. I think we'd stand a better chance of playing a Prince song than having you letting your sentiment get out to the world, Tony. So
I wonder why the BBC don't interview me much at Glastonbury.
I know that they keep you behind locked doors, don't they? They have to lock you in. Chris, I know, is very passionate about access to art for all. That art is a human right. It's an expression. Could you just give some examples of how Kidsfield has literally been a place where seeds have been planted for young people, all sorts of people that go to the festival? I mean, you introduced me to somebody in South Wales when we were down in Cardiff the other week. Could you maybe give Chris a couple of those examples of what you did there and how it's nurtured? Because you've got some wonderful stories of the impact and influence you've had on young people's lives, one, and now on the economy, because they're now major contributors to the UK economy in their art. So tell us about that, Tony.
Oh God, that's give me a big topic there. Well, I would say that we've encouraged and supported certain charities over the years. Bristol Play Bus. There's a wonderful bunch of people in London who I don't even know whether they still exist now, called Albion Kid Show, who worked out of Hackney in Dalston. But I think they've just been sort of semi-evicted from their premises where they've been for 30 years because gentrification and, people want to build luxury flats on where they've been. And they're an amazing bunch of people. Albion Kids Show, they they came out of the old Albion fairs in the early 80s in East Anglia. And they were an astounding bunch of people. They had a whole load of trailers and various various things. You can see them in the videos on the Kidsfield website. And they went to all the sort of really rough council estates, those sort of really terrible scraps of land in front of semi-derelict looking blocks of flats, and they'd set up their play equipment and take all comers. Amazing people who've been, like I say, they've been around for sort of 30, 40 years. So people like that we've been really keen to support. And then, there's a great group of people called the Ape Project in Bristol who gradually the thing is, when you've been involved with something like the Kidsfield and festivals for as long as I have, you you see people meet, have their children, the children grow up, start putting on projects. It's kind of, you get the chance to see that whole thing evolving. And the Ape Project had not long ago taken over the St Paul's Playground in Bristol. And I think during lockdown, there's been a terrible fire. So if people out there have got, cash to splash, there's a lot of really worthwhile people out there who are not getting Arts Council grants and not being supported by the V&A or whatever, and are really struggling to just do genuine, real stuff on a very basic street level. And there's a lot of those people out there, actually.
No, absolutely. A lot of good work. A lot of people, as you say, really in very, very dire need now. We can't underestimate that.
I would mention is Otherworld Arts in London. They're another group who've been, I think they have managed to get themselves into the city funding slightly. But, there's a lot of amazing people out there who, just don't get the publicity or the funding that they deserve, who are doing stuff on a very street level, brilliant people. And they inspire, the thing, like I say, being as old as I am, you see these sort of little kids sort of snuffling about at free festivals in sort of, grime with snot down their noses. And 20, 30 years later, they come back and they're major musicians and they do come to these people and say, oh, you don't remember me, but, I was inspired by something. It's so important, that thing, to try and actually, genuinely inspire children on a very sort of basic personal level,
No, absolutely. Tell us the story about that lady you introduced us to in Cardiff specifically.
Oh, Dagmar, wonderful Dagmar, lovely girl. Yeah, fantastic sculptor. Again, known her since she was a child. you know, and she showed promise, and she's gone on to do fabulous things, amazing sculptures. She's a major part of this really cutting edge festival called Boomtown. I mean, that's the thing, again, with age, you see these things evolve. I mean, the first festivals I went to, oh my God, Watchfield and Windsor and stuff, people had nothing, Nick. You know, it was the most basic thing you could imagine. You know, if you were lucky, there was a trench with a flagpole on it to crap in, and there were no stalls. You know, if you wanted rizzers or cigarettes, you had to start somebody's car and they had to go to the local pub. It was really, really basic compared to now, where it's almost like a shopping mall. People are WOMAD, people go there to buy their furniture, for Christ's sake. It's unbelievable. I did the first WOMAD, which was amazing at the Mallet Showground.
I went to that.
Gabriel put it together. It was an amazing thing. The trouble was, as quite often is the case, the organisers were so, I don't know, Bolivian nose marching powder or something. They hadn't actually bothered to tell the rest of the world what was happening. So there was sort of more security and those people around than there were punters. It was so sad, but it was astounding. That was the first time the drummers of Burundi appeared.
Well, the funny thing is, Tony,
it's astounding, but it went spectacularly bankrupt
at
the end.
They given back because there was a train strike that week as well. Don't you remember? So nobody could actually get there.
Listen, the problem was they forgot. I mean, the thing was, I mean, early days of Glastonbury, I used to drive all around the country putting up posters in little Whole Food shops and Unicorn Bookshop in Brighton and all these funny, funky little places. And, people were sort of scared to go to a certain extent because it was pretty lawless as well. So it's sort of astounding that it's gone from that to this, multi-million-pound industry, which, right at the moment is on its arse, big time.
No, fair enough. You've got some lovely pictures. It's a shame you haven't got a second screen yet, Tony, because you'd be loving this. You've, Chris.
Yeah, no, I don't know how I managed that last time.
You must have had a tablet. Have you got a tablet or an iPhone and another screen anywhere?
I think I probably have, yeah.
Because that's what you want. Because Chris is pushing the tops out here. You've got some lovely stuff.
Oh, this is a whole load of people, and mainly my media man, Colin, who was a major part of Zion Train back in the day. He'll hate me for saying that. But yeah, so some great people have helped me put all this stuff together because basically all our money goes into, the budget we get from Glastonbury Festival. It goes into what happens on the ground. I take virtually nothing out of it for myself. And it is, because I'm an anarcho-syndicalist Buddhist. So it's all sort of a bit cobbled together on a shoestring, but there's some beautiful images and there's some amazing people come to the Kids Field and put their energy in. A lot of them for free. We basically all we pay is sort of people's basic expenses, and a lot of the time, people put in more than their expenses would cover.
Fantastic. Have you seen our cardboard pyramid stage?
Yeah, like I say, I'm a bit over pyramids because I can remember loading Nick Turner's pyramid stage into various buses that it killed and dragging it around to all these free festivals and putting it up in the most ridiculous circumstances, all very dangerous, all very not health and safety, no hard hats or safety helmets or any of the rest of it. So I'm a little bit, pyramids, yeah, okay, it's a pyramid, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is for us, it's interesting because we drew inspiration from from conversations with you and Chris Tofu, Continental Drifts.
Right,
where'd you both from? Because he talks about off main stage, doesn't he, a lot?
Yeah, because that's his, his whole thing, Shangri-La and all that, Las Vegas, again, that all grew out of a sort of, grew out of a whole crazy dream, Roy Gervitz, who was a sort of major part of the sort of convoy character.
Oh, Roy, yeah, I've heard of Roy.
I mean, that all started off, originally that started off, there was, back in the early days, what I was running what's now the Greenpeace field. And that was the kind of what they call the naughty corner, the sort of late hours thing. And, it was really basic. There was a guy called Rick that had a little pub called the Dog and Vomit. And then that sort of grew into a bunch of characters, put this field, sort of real sort of very edge, maybe even slightly outside of the festival, called the Field of the Weird Beard. I think that was the original one. And then it sort of turned into this Las Vegas thing. But it was very, very left field. It wasn't really part of the festival originally. And then all these sort of, gone on sort of BBC, DJs and stuff suddenly started talking about it, like, oh, we were in this weird place. We don't know. Does it exist? It's not on the map, and it became a bit of a thing. And then Michael caught on to, how exciting that was for people and how, at the end of the day, like the main stage is closed down and, hundreds of thousands of people who we're looking after for the whole time. That's the thing. These people are there and you've got to entertain them. You've got to look after them. You've got to keep them on the right vibe. It's very easy for that whole thing to go bad. Look at what happened at Woodstock and what was that other festival that ended up in riots. And you've got to keep that vibe going. Once that main stage closes down, that ain't the end of it. Everybody doesn't just go off back to their council houses. They're all there, and you've got to keep that vibe going. You've got to keep that thing up.
Absolutely. Well, the inspiration for us, to be honest, behind our pyramid stage was the fact that all that excitement off main stage, what happens in Kids Field, what happens in the circus tent, all these other places, the comedy tents, Holt's, because the pyramid stage wasn't being used this year, we thought, why don't we bring all that off main stage type creativity into the pyramid stage and build ourselves a pyramid stage? So we've built this massive stage in the playing fields at Brookside Primary Academy, just down the street from Glastonbury. We've had complaints from people because they think we're misleading the public because it's so realistic, it's fake. So I have to hold this sign up that says pretend, so that everybody knows that we're actually pretending. There isn't really a cardboard pyramid stage, because obviously it usually rains and it wouldn't have been very clever. It's amazing that, because what we had to do, we had to use our best techniques, or by any means necessary. Was that Martin Luther King? By any means necessary to get a message across, art and creativity. We pretended that Bob Geldof said it will be like Live Aid, but better. We pretended we had a pyramid stage because we have an imagination, because of the work of people like yourself, Tony, people like Chris, and their inspiration. It's just fantastic. So if you see Michael and Emily, I don't know if they've seen what we've done, but if anybody likes it, tell them to click on a tweet and click like or something. It's always nice to be acknowledged. But we've got a competition today, because we say that art is what we call it when what we do connects us to somebody else. So we've got one of these little robots, because some kids' art could be coding, some kids' art could be photography, fashion, football, dancing, DJing. So this is a £500 AI robot that we're going to be giving away at the end of today to the best cardboard model of a pyramid stage. It's 500 quid, that robot. Nobody's entered yet, as far as I can see. So yeah, so we're not giving that to a child. I want to be quite clear. It's not for that child. They have to give it to the school community, and the head teacher will take responsibility. That child will then go to that school and teach them to code it, so that they can learn the skills, not just to be computer experts and robot experts, but these are the skills that the kids are going to need to program sat-navs. They're going to need them to program visual art systems. They're going to need them to program stage lighting systems. That's the program. You understand all this, Tony. All your team. You've got text.
I'm afraid. I mean, I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to all that. But obviously, my children grew up with all of that, and my son lives in that world and makes a very good living out of it.
Well, you've got a big family, and I mean the Kidsfield family. What's that? Sort of 400,000-500,000 people. You've got every skill represented in that, haven't you?
Oh yeah. No, it is. It's massive, and it reaches out. It reaches out a long way. I mean, one way or another, I think most of the people sort of running areas at Glastonbury now and putting all this stuff together have been through the Kidsfield experience at some point. So yeah, it reaches a long way, which is really gratifying, because I haven't made masses of money out of it. Well, any money out of any of it, to be honest. So it's great. It's great to have that, at least, to know that you've inspired all these people and all these amazing things. That is very gratifying.
Chris, what are your thoughts around what you're hearing here of what Tony's done over his 25 years at Kidsfield and beyond? What are your thoughts around this contribution to the creativity in the country, to children's education?
I think it's very inspiring, Nick, and I love the ethos of not selling anything but inspiration. Because too often I come from an industry in publishing where we're required to go out and sell our books and to sell things. That can be good in terms of literacy and promoting reading for pleasure. Equally in the music industry, the people need to make a living, so musicians have got to sell their work and performers need to sell. But it's great to have a space where creativity can come without a price tag on it and everyone can participate. So I love Tony's ethos of sort of inspiring young minds to then sort of, become the next generation of creative people. And Glastonbury is a celebration of that, I think. 1 year you're in the Kidsfield and a decade later you could be on the Pyramid stage headlining.
Yeah, we have actually done that. I mean, that's one of the things we do in the Kidsfield is we have a huge a music academy, and we've given away, over the years, we've given away thousands, literally thousands of violins, guitars, ukuleles, cellos, all these instruments. So we have a fantastic group of people, Replay Music, they're called, run by this lady, Lisa, who repairs instruments for, you met her, Nick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She used to repair, I think she maybe still repairs instruments for London Education Board. And of course, a lot of the instruments, according to them, are beyond repair. And so they're thrown away. She repairs them, we put new strings on them, bring them to Glastonbury. We, do music lessons, and then kids that are promising, we give them these instruments. And over the years, we have had kids from that music academy headline main stages.
Wow.
I hope you have, Tony, in the Kidsfield, an actual naughty corner, because I think that would be wonderful. And the most creative and anarchic can be sent to the naughty corner as a celebration, as an accolade.
Nobody gets sent to them, but obviously we get loads of kids. The thing about the Kidsfield is because it's probably it's part of where I'm at. I'm sort of like I said earlier, I'm a anarcho-syndicalist Buddhist. So my thing is not about, like, you go to a lot of even WOMAD and stuff. You go to a lot of these festivals and you want to do a workshop with your kid, and you have to sort of queue up and sign in, and there's so many kids per workshop. We don't run anything like that. Like our workshop tent, and I do hope you're showing videos in the background, Nick, not my ugly mug, from kidsfield.com. But it's a huge tent with maybe 20 or 30 different workshops going on all day long. It's absolute chaos. And kids just head in there and they start doing stuff. And there's all these amazing people making stuff with kids, all sorts of different, puppets and little bracelets and, mosaics and just so many things. I'd have to get the book out to tell you how many workshops. And they can just dive in and get involved. There isn't a kind of, oh, who are you? What's your name? You're not on this list. It's not like that at all. And the whole Kidsfield is run like that. You kids literally run in there and they can get into stuff, And then the people that I use the word loosely, employ, are those sort of people. They're people who are just there for kids, and they will just give those kids 100% of their attention. And a lot of them are school teachers or, are from the caring professions. So they know how to deal with autistic kids or kids with ADHD or any of that sort of stuff. It is a real heaven for children. The thing I hear most often on the entrance is, is parents sort of, saying, "Oh God, I can't even get the kids out of this building. I want to go and see, you know, some grim band somewhere," and they're moaning because they can't actually drag their kids out of the kids' field.
I just nipped off, I just nipped off to get a glass of water. Excuse me.
Oh,
so we're getting all ready now. I've got back in, got my umbilical cord back in. So we're going to
show videos from WW Kidsfield, Nick.
I'll put that on the bottom of the screen now, Tony. Hang on.
Show those videos because they are, you know, they are beautiful. It's just fantastic to see all those kids running around freeway and actually getting into stuff and, you know, really, really letting rip in sort of free, made-to-measure sort of heaven for children. It's a really, really special place. And then I don't even know that it's on. There's so much going on in the kids' field. I don't think even my videos show half of it. I mean, I don't think there's even much stuff. Like right up in the very top of the field, we've got an area for little children with a huge sand pit, massive sand pit with a beautiful parasol over the top of it, which is actually from a bomber. It's actually the slowdown drogue from an old bomber. So it's like a proper sort of, you know, swords to plowshares kind of moment. And we have a big tent there with the NCT who sort of give kids, you know, look after people with very small children with babies, and you know there's nappies available. Mums can get a cup of tea if it's stressful, because sometimes, you know, it's muddy, it's really difficult. If you've got tiny children, it's, you know, it's hard. You walk 4 miles from a car park somewhere with all your belongings and your small children, and it's wet and muddy, and I mean, stress, man, really stress. So we're looking after those people, looking after their kids. You know, it's a really nurturing thing. It's not just, you know, Kylie Minogue on the main stage for half an hour. That is not what Glastonbury is about.
I don't know if you've opened your artist list yet next year yet, Tony, but Chris Riddell's just drawn a picture of you, obviously, although you don't wear stuff. It's actually Chris. Is that you, Chris?
It is me.
It is
yes.
him. And the quote is, "Can I come to Kidsfield next year?" And I hate to say it, Chris, but you've just failed the SPAG test. You know what SPAG is, Tony?
No.
Spelling and grammar. It's one of the things that's hammered into our kids.
We don't care about spelling and grammar. Listen, if you can express yourself and communicate, you know, drop the commas. It's really, all of that stuff is rubbish. It doesn't matter. It's not important. And see, that sort of stuff is what is drummed into kids, and it sort of sets them up to fail. And it's really terrible that that's how our education system works. That it sort of sets up these standards. Oh, you didn't reach that standard, you're a failure. Off you go. Instead of saying, oh wow, you know, which is the real beauty of human beings, is that everybody has somewhere in them that special, wonderful skill that no one else can do. And that should be the purpose of education, to find what that thing is, to nurture it and let it flourish. That's what it's about with children. Not failing kids, not setting up loads of tests so that these kids all just fail and then they think for the rest of their life they're failures. That's a terrible way to go about building a better society.
You're not passionate about this by any chance, are you?
I'm not passionate about anything. I'm just sitting on the tube, ignoring everybody, pretending that the world doesn't really exist and that I'm just living in my own little egotistical bubble, Nick.
I know, you're fantastic. You're an utter legend. So basically, it doesn't sound to me that the fact that Chris Riddell has put kid apostrophe S when it should just be KIDZ.
Listen, and I came up with that a long time ago. I can remember years and years, way back in the 80s sometime, and Arabella Churchill, who was sort of, you know, one of the major inspirations for the real Glastonbury.
We had Charlie Phillips was on the other day telling us about her, yeah.
And, you know, and she came up to me. I mean, I knew her from when she was this, you know, when I first met her, she was this beautiful, blonde-haired, sort of, you know, young, sexy thing. You know, she was amazing. She came up to me and she said, "Why are you spelling it with a Z?" And I said, well, Arabo, you know, it's actually, you know, because their mothers are not goats. And oh my God, only if I had copyrighted that, I'd probably be rich now.
That's a corker, isn't it? A really corker. Now, do you know Charlie? Sorry, Chris.
To do now because I'm going to have lunch with my mother.
Wonderful, great.
In my bubble. And what I'd like to say before I do go is to
hang on, so Tony, say that again, Tony, and we'll go back to Chris. Sorry.
Everybody's a child. Everybody inside, everybody's a child. That's what we have to remember. That child is still there. You know, there he is off to have dinner with his mother, and to his mum, he's still just a child.
That's a lovely comment. Chris, you were saying, carry on?
Yes, I'd like to say to Tony, I would love to come along as a big kid myself, with a Z, I hope. I would love to come along to Glastonbury next year. I was due to come to Glastonbury this year to draw for a favourite band of mine. I was going to draw that set. I'd love to come along next year to the kids' field and sit in a corner, maybe the naughty corner, and just draw portraits of people all day.
I'd love you to do that. That would be wonderful. Get in touch. I mean, I'm very easy to find. I'm the easiest person to find.
You're one of the most generous and the friendliest, the most creative, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to say goodbye to both of you now because we're going outside. If you don't know what we're doing now, let me just tell you all. If you download the programme from our website, stephenco.org.uk/YourGlasto, on the back page, a poster to tell you that we're now going outside. We're going to go and have our lunch outside our house. Melinda and I are actually going to build a pyramid stage out of cardboard tubes from the carpet shop down the road because I usually leave some out the front. And we're going to have our lunch under a pyramid stage to inspire the country, to inspire the world, to celebrate the pyramid, which is usually the place where people have rock versus rap, but we're bringing all the wonders of people like Chris Riddell, Tony Cordy. We're going to create the world's biggest art gallery today. We want to put your art, we want you to build a pyramid stage, big, small, whatever. Thank you, Tony. Lovely to see you. I know you're busy. You've got a big family to look after.
You're welcome. And Nick, we always call everybody Mr. Tony. We never use surnames. So you're Mr. Nick. You know, everybody's Mr. their first name. Don't use surnames. Boring stuff.
I get you. I hear you. Thanks a lot, Tony. Mr. Tony. Mr. Nick signing out.
Mr. Nick, it's been a pleasure. Listen, take care and yeah, carry on. You know, carry on inspiring people in the virtual world so that when this lockdown is over, they can actually do stuff in the real world.
I've got news for you, mate, because I'm coming down to Fishguard before the end of the summer holidays. I'm going to crawl on my elbows if it kills me. I've got to come and shake your hand.
If we let you, we might not let you in. You know, we're still sort of, you know, we're still being very cautious here in Wales.
Okay, mate, you take care, Tony. Bye-bye. Yeah. Well, there you go, Chris. That was lovely, wasn't it?
It was so nice. And Tony's based in Fishguard.
Absolutely, in Wales, on the Welsh coast, Nick. That's right.
I have, my father's cousin was an artist who lived in Fishguard for many years called John Cleal. And I'm sure Tony would have known him.
Oh, really? I think he's not. So, do you know him? Tony, you're back on. You still?
I definitely know the name. I mean, Wales is West Wales is full. I'm not actually in Fishguard. I'm in the Preselies, right by where the blue stones from Stonehenge came from.
There you go.
And there's a fantastic artist community around Fishguard and in South Wales, which I spent many wonderful wonderful times sort of visiting.
Yeah, well, I'm just down the road from Larne, from Dylan Thomas's Horns. That's kind of closer to me than Fishguard, actually.
Tony, did you get your co-op beer vouchers as well? Because we sent you some co-op beer vouchers today.
I got a card. I have to find a co-op near me.
Co-op. Because basically the co-op have sponsored us. So if anybody wants to enter the hashtag Brewer Beer Fest, go to the co-op, buy a few cans of craft beer, send us some social media because we've got 3 cases of Brewdog Punk IPA. I'll be honest, I had a couple of those last night and they are very good. And I haven't actually got a hangover. I got to bed at 4:30. I was up at...
You know, Nick, I don't do any endorsements of any products other than www.kidsfield.com or Twitter Kidsfield or Instagram Kidsfield. Send us your memories. Look at all the beautiful videos and stuff that's up on kidsfield.com. But you know, good luck to you with your commercial reality.
Love you, Tony. Love you. The co-op's about the best we can get. So see you. Bye bye. So there we go, Chris. Sorry to keep you so late. You've been wonderful again, and you're able to put those in the post like you did last time. Okay.
I can do that.
Wonderful. When you see your mother, thank her from all of us for her inspiration and support of you and your art and your creativity, because you're inspiring thousands. I think particularly today, art teachers across the country who I know are watching. I need to have a quick look because I can't remember what the hashtags I put in were. A quick look and see if we've got any. I've said hashtag my riddle art, hashtag my Gloucester, hashtag art connect. So let's just see if we have got any of those. Be quite nice. I'll be honest with you, I think the weather's so hot and people are so keen to get out that not many people are watching live. What happens is that you might get 20 watching it on the programme, but then the next night there'll be 300 or 400, and some of them are up to 2,000 this weekend, which is quite phenomenal, really. So nobody's entered all those, not to worry. Okay, so I'm struggling to find the right hashtags, but it doesn't matter. Good people in a couple of days to do that. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a lovely day. Thank you very much. We're doing Camp Festival in a month, and then we're going to Notting Hill Carnival, and then we're doing an estate school, a big housing estate in Leeds called the Seacroft Estate, where we're going into that school community to do a 3-day festival. I'm hoping we can do something physical there. And I want to get Excalibur, that lorry with a video screen on the top, because it's actually from Bradford in Leeds. And I think that'd be pretty amazing. Don't you press a button and the screen come out the top, and we can share this to the whole community. Thank you so much, Chris. You really are an inspiration to us all. And if you've got availability in the summer, we'll be in touch. But bless you. We've blagged you into Glastonbury anyway. That's not a bad Sunday for you, is it?
That's lovely.
Bye-bye now. Take care.
Bye.
Wow, there you go. We're now going to go out and have lunch. I'm just going to think of something to sort of play to sort of finish this off and get rid of this. There we are on main stage again. I'm just going to play out, I think. So basically what we're going to do now, we're going to go outside. I don't even know if anybody watching now, actually, because let's face it, it's gone a bit slow, isn't it? We are going to go outside and get some cardboard tubes from the carpet shop. And we are going to build a pyramid stage in my front yard, inspired by the work of this particular dad. His dad's name's Damon, who built this for us. He built a pyramid stage for us in a school playground just down the road from Somerset to create an art gallery for everybody's creativity that might normally be scattered around the site, that might be in people's homes, people who can't get there, people who've got issues, they can't get to Glastonbury, can't get tickets. There are lots of people. We've created a people's Glastonbury of sorts out of respect and gratitude to Emily and her father Michael, this is inspiration. Robert Richards, part of the team there, who's been emailing us and showing support as best he can. Obviously, they've got commercial arrangements in place. It's all very last minute. It's not a formal thing in any shape or form in association with Glastonbury, but the fact that people notice and say good luck with the show, we've had fun. Most importantly, yesterday, her father and his daughter came on and sang, and we've just had a fantastic 3 days, and it's not finished yet. We're going to have a street party now. We're going outside to drink some beer from the co-op, product endorsement. Some people I don't mind promoting, and that's one of them. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing that if we went to Kidsfield. We're going to go, and at 3 o'clock, Tom Morley is going to do a mass drumming session. So that's all on the poster. Download the poster, and we will see you on the other side of all this craziness. And play you out with this. Thank you very much for listening this morning. We'll see you. We'll probably keep the camera running outside if I can get it long enough, but we'll certainly see you back here at 3 o'clock for Tom Morley's Drum Circle. Thank you. So I need to restart that, don't I? Let's have a look what's going on here. I'm just a dad who can't get his PowerPoint working today. But do I look like I care? Ah, that's because my hard drive's over here, so let's unplug that hard drive. Where did I put that? Oh, I had to transfer some files last night. Or should we just knock it on the head? What should we do, remember? Let's plug that in there. It's funny because it doesn't tell you it can't find the video, it just doesn't do anything. That'll work out. Okay, let's go. This is me. I'm just a dad. I passionately believe that the future for our children, our communities, and our country lies in one thing: creativity. It can inspire our kids in their learning. It can create careers and connect communities. 10 years ago, after a trip to a festival, Camp Festival, I went back to my son's primary school and started a non-profit community enterprise called STEAMco with other parents, teachers and local businesses. We ran mini creativity festivals. STEAMco helps connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Last weekend in that same playground, I filmed an amazing set by the legendary Glenn Matlock, co-founder of the Sex Pistols, and amazing global rock star Earl Slick, who used to play with David Bowie. It will be their performance at an event we've just been given permission to run in the playing fields of a school just down the road from Glastonbury. We're calling it #YourGlasto. It's one of 5 free 3-day Art of Community festivals that we're running all summer with the help of the Arts Council and funding from the National Lottery. Our first one was live streamed from Eden Project at the end of May and featured inspiring talks, uplifting performances, creative activities and community engagement. We had a fantastic performance by blind and disabled young woman Kirk of Leeds. We had a great Saturday night set from Emily Capel, and Gaz Mayer even Skyped in from his hideaway in Wales. We had a right old laugh watching Rosemary Schrager teach us what to cook, and we all split our sides with Basil Brush.
Technology is an amazing thing.
Punk icon Jar Wobble chatted with a granddad in Liverpool. On Sunday, we had a little big lunch, and after that, rockstar activator Tom Moore led a co-drum circle with hundreds of people all over the world. And we had a couple of great late-night dance parties where people could Skype in with a green screen background and end up on the dance floor. As the CEO of the Arts Council has said,
let's ask, what if? Let's start a creativity revolution.
Let's create our Glasto, my Glasto, your Glasto. Oh no, what have they done? What earth is this? That's not what we ordered. Hey mate, what are you doing? Whoa, what are you doing, mate? It's out of that area. Oh, sorry, I've got a helmet, hang on. I mean, what are you doing setting up a scaffold pyramid stage?
Yeah, I've got a paper there to come in and deliver it. Really? Yes.
Well, we've got to take it down.
Take it down.
We want one made out of old cardboard boxes and loo rolls to inspire our kids to be creative. We want them to make their own at our Your Glasto Festival next Friday.
Right, okay. John, we've got to take it down. We're going to be all day. We're going to have to hurry up then because I want to get on and watch football tonight.
Thanks, guys. Wow, that was a close one. Hopefully those guys can take that down now. But I don't know what we're going to do about cardboard. Let me see if I can get hold of Malumba. Oh, there he is.
I just saw what happened on Twitter. That's hilarious. I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with all that cardboard.
Well, we've got to make a stage out of cardboard. Do you remember that? Who was that guy you had on last week? Who made
Will Alexander? Yes, absolutely.
Can you get him in on Friday? And he can show the kids how to make pyramid stages out of cardboard tubes, like this, toilet roll holders, cardboard boxes, anything like that. And even maybe some of the kids can get some of these big cardboard tubes from the carpet warehouses. There's one just where I am. And you could make you could make one in the garden and actually have your lunch in that, and maybe have a performance or a band in there.
We're gonna have a whole cardboard Glastonbury event kind of thing.
Well, fantastic. And I think that the pyramid stage at Glastonbury is a place for music, but we could redefine it almost. It's a place for all sorts of art. Kids can play music. We've got a theatre company coming in, and they're going to talk to the kids about making theatre and writing plays. If kids do a small one, they can make little characters. We've got a stop motion animation company who can show them how to make little films. We've got Adobe Premiere to do video editing. I think that's going to work quite well, don't you?
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
And the other thing we need people to be getting ready for, Malumbo, we need people to be art activists next weekend. We're going to do loads of workshops about art activism, which is changing the world with your art. And we want people to download this A4 sheet off our website, hashtag I Love Art, draw a heart logo in there. Have you been doing any of these? Because you were going to do some, weren't you?
Absolutely. I've got one right here.
Oh. Wow, fantastic. My Glasgow. So can we print some of those on T-shirts that people can use?
We can print as many as you want, and I'd love for people to be wearing them, expressing their love for not only Glasgow, but for the community, for the people on the street, especially in these times.
Brilliant. And if people take a photo holding their I Love Art sign, send it in, hashtag I Love Art, hashtag Your Glasgow. We'll look out for 2 or 3 of those every. We'll print some free T-shirts and send them out. But if you don't want to risk it, we've got a whole load of T-shirts here. We're going to print these up with Malumba's design and any others that we can get, and you can buy these from our online store. And if anybody wants to do a poster, do one of these big posters, I Love Art posters. These are 3 guys and guys and girls from down at Tabernacle in Notting Hill. We also met this Glasgow legend, Charlie Phillips, who came to England years ago in the Windrush generation and is the Windrush generation official photographer, if you like. And he took photos at the first ever Glastonbury when he went down there with Arabella Churchill, who's Winston Churchill's granddaughter or niece. I can't remember the connection. Wow. So if people want to print those posters, you can send the artwork off by midday and get them back the next day from a company called Solo Press. Or we're going to put a link on the website for how you can do it by just printing lots of sheets of A4 and sticking them together, because we don't need to be spending money. We can celebrate creativity and art without spending an awful lot of money. What do you reckon?
This all sounds really great, Nick. It's going to be really a weekend of creativity, of making things out of nothing, literally. So that's really, really brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, I'll let you crack on, Malumba. Thank you so much for dropping in. Your Glasgow. By you, with you, for you. Be part of it with your art. Sign up for information, to speak, to sing, or to help us in any way. I passionately believe that the future for our children, our communities, and our country lies in one thing: creativity. It can inspire our kids in their learning. It can create careers, and it can connect communities. 10 years ago, after a trip to a festival, Camp Festival, I went back to my son's primary school and started a non-profit community enterprise called SchemeCo with other parents, teachers, and local businesses. We ran mini creativity festivals. SchemeCo helps connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Last weekend in that same playground, I filmed an amazing set by the legendary Glenn Matlock, co-founder of the Sex Pistols, and amazing global rock star Earl Slick, who used to play with David Bowie. It will be their performance at an event we've just been given permission to run in the playing fields of a school just down the road from Glastonbury. We're calling it #YourGlasgow. It's one of 5 free 3-day Art of Community festivals that we're running all summer with the help of the Arts Council and funding from the National Lottery. Our first one was live streamed from Eden Project at the end of May and featured inspiring talks, uplifting performances, creative activities, and community engagement. We had a fantastic performance by blind and disabled young woman Kirpa from Leeds. We had a great Saturday night set from Emily Capel, and Gaz Mayer even Skyped in from his hideaway in Wales. We had a right old laugh watching Rosemary Schrager teach Levois to cook, and we all split our sides with Basil Brush.
Technology is an amazing thing.
Punk icon Jar Wobble chatted with a grandad in Liverpool. On Sunday, we had a little big lunch, and after that, rockstar activator Tom Morley led a co-drum circle with hundreds of people all over the world. And we had a couple of great late-night dance parties where people could Skype in with a green screen background and end up on the dance floor. As the CEO of the Arts Council has said,
let's ask, what if? Let's start a creativity revolution.
Let's create our Glasgow, my Glasgow, your Glasgow. Oh no, what have they done? What on earth is this? That's not what we ordered. Hey mate, what are you doing?
Whoa, what are you doing, mate? You saw that area?
Oh, sorry, I've got a helmet. Hang on. I mean, what are you doing setting up a scaffold pyramid stage?
Yeah, I've got my paper here to come here and deliver it. Really? Yes.
Well, we've got to take it down.
Take it down?
We wanted one made out of old cardboard boxes and loo rolls to inspire our kids to be creative. We want them to make their own at our Your Glasgow Festival next Friday.
Right, okay. John, we've got to take it down. We're going to be all day. We're going to have to hurry up then because I want to get on and watch football tonight.
Thanks, guys. Wow, that was a close one. Hopefully those guys can take that down now, but I don't know what we're going to do about cardboard. Let me see if I can get hold of Malumba. Oh, there he is.
I just saw what happened on Twitter. That's hilarious. I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with all that cardboard.
Well, we've got to make a stage out of cardboard. Do you remember that? Who was that guy you had on last week? Who made
Will Alexander? Yes, absolutely.
Get him in on Friday, and he can show the kids how to make pyramid stages out of cardboard tubes like this, toilet roll holders, cardboard boxes, anything like that. And even maybe some of the kids can get some of these big cardboard tubes from the carpet warehouses. There's one just down where I am. And you can make one in the garden and actually have your lunch in that and maybe have a performance or a band in there.
We're going to have a whole cardboard Glastonbury event kind of thing.
Well, fantastic. And I think that the pyramid stage at Glastonbury is a place for music, but we could redefine it almost. It's a place for all sorts of art. Kids can play music. We've got a theatre company coming in and they're going to talk to the kids about making theatre and writing plays. If kids do a small one, they can make little characters. We've got a stop motion animation company who can show them how to make little films. We've got Adobe Premiere to do video editing. I think that's going to work quite well, don't you?
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
And the other thing we need people to be getting ready for, Malumbo, we need people to be art activists next weekend. We're going to do loads of workshops about art activism, which is changing the world with your art. And we want people to download this A4 sheet off our website, #ILoveArt. Draw a heart logo in there. Have you been doing any of these? Because you were going to do some, weren't you?
Absolutely. I've got one right here.
Oh, wow, fantastic. My Glasgow. So can we print some of those onto T-shirts that people can use?
We can print as many as you want, and I'd love for people to be wearing them, expressing their love for not only Glasgow, but for the community, for the people on the street, especially in these times.
Brilliant. And if people take a photo holding their I Love Art sign, send it in, #ILoveArt, #YourGlasgow. We'll look out for 2 or 3 of those every day, and we'll print some free T-shirts to send them out. But if you don't want to risk it, we've got a whole load of T-shirts here. We're going to print these up with Malumba's design and any others that we can get, and you can buy these from our online store. And if anybody wants to do a poster, do one of these big posters, I Love Art posters. These are 3 guys from down, guys and girls from down at the Tabernacle in Notting Hill, where we also met this Glasgow legend, Charlie Phillips, who came to England years ago in the Windrush generation and is the Windrush generation official photographer, if you like. And he took photos at the first ever Glastonbury when he went down there with Arabella Churchill, who's Winston Churchill's granddaughter or niece, I think. Can't remember the connection. Wow. So if people want to print those posters, you can send the artwork off by midday and get them back the next day from a company called Solo Press. Or we're going to put a link on the website for how you can do it by just printing lots of sheets of A4 and sticking them together, because we don't need to be spending money. We can celebrate creativity and art without spending an awful lot of money. What do you reckon to that,
This all sounds really great, Nick. It's going to be really a weekend of creativity, of making things out of nothing, literally. So that's really, really brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, I'll let you crack on, Malumba. Thank you so much for dropping in. Your Glasgow. By you, with you, for you. Be part of it with your art. Sign up for information, to speak, to sing, or to help us in any way. I'm just a dad, and I passionately believe that the future for our children, our communities, and our country lies in one thing: creativity. It can inspire our kids in their learning. It can create careers and connect communities. 10 years ago, after a trip to a festival, Camp Festival, I went back to my son's primary school and started a non-profit community enterprise called STEAMco with other parents, teachers and local businesses. We ran mini creativity festivals. STEAMco helps connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Last weekend in that same playground, I filmed an amazing set by the legendary Glenn Matlock, co-founder of the Sex Pistols, and amazing global rock star Earl Slick, who used to play with David Bowie. It will be their performance at an event we've just been given permission to run in the playing fields of a school just down the road from Glastonbury. We're calling it #YourGlasto. It's one of 5 free 3-day Art of Community festivals that we're running all summer with the help of the Arts Council and funding from the National Lottery. Our first one was live streamed from Eden Project at the end of May and featured inspiring talks, uplifting performances, creative activities and community engagement. We had a fantastic performance by blind and disabled young woman Kerpa from Leeds. We had a great Saturday night set from Emily Capel, and Gaz Mayer even Skyped in from his hideaway in Wales. We had a right old laugh watching Rosemary Schrager teach Levois to cook, and we all split our sides with Basil Brush.
Technology is an amazing thing.
Punk icon Jar Wobble chatted with a grandad in Liverpool. On Sunday, we had a little big lunch, and after that, rock star activator Tom Morley led a co-drum circle with hundreds of people all over the world. And we had a couple of great late-night dance parties where people could Skype in with a green screen background and end up on the dance floor. As the CEO of the Arts Council has said,
let's ask, what if? Let's start a creativity revolution.
Let's create our Glasto, my Glasto, your Glasto. Oh no, what have they done? What on earth is this? That's not what we ordered. Hey mate, what are you doing?
Whoa, what are you doing, mate? Inside that area.
Oh, sorry, I've got a helmet, hang on. I mean, what are you doing setting up a scaffold pyramid stage?
Well, I've got my paperwork here to come here and deliver it. Really? Yes.
Well, we've got to take it down.
Take it down?
We wanted one made out of old cardboard boxes and loo rolls to inspire our kids to be creative. We want them to make their own at our Your Glasto festival next Friday.
Right, okay. Don, we've got to take it down. We're going to be all day. We're going to have to hurry up then because I want to get on and watch football tonight.
Thanks, guys. Wow, that was a close one. Hopefully those guys can take that down now. But I don't know what we're going to do about cardboard. Let me see if I can get hold of Malumba. Oh, there he is.
I just saw what happened on Twitter. That's hilarious. I'm looking forward to what we're going to do with all that cardboard.
Well, we've got to make a stage out of cardboard. Do you remember that? Who's that guy you had on last week? Who made
Will Alexander? Yes, absolutely.
Can you get him in on Friday, and he can show the kids how to make pyramid stages out of cardboard tubes like this, toilet roll holders, cardboard boxes, anything like that, and even maybe some of the kids can get some of these big cardboard tubes from the carpet warehouses. There's one just down where I am. And you could make you could make one in the garden and actually have your lunch in that, and maybe have a performance or a band in there.
We're gonna have a whole cardboard Glastonbury event kind of thing.
Well, fantastic. And I think that the pyramid stage at Glastonbury is a place for music, but we could redefine it almost. It's a place for all sorts of art. Kids can play music. We've got a theatre company coming in, and they're going to talk to the kids about making theatre and writing plays. If kids do a small one, they can make little characters. We've got a stop motion animation company who can show them how to make little films. We've got Adobe Premiere to do video editing. I think that's going to work quite well, don't you?
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
And the other thing we need people to be getting ready for, Malumbo, we need people to be art activists next weekend. We're going to do loads of workshops about art activism, which is changing the world with your art. And we want people to download this A4 sheet off our website, #ILoveArt. Draw a heart logo in there. Have you been doing any of these? Because you were going to do some, weren't you?
Absolutely. I've got one right here.
Oh, wow, fantastic. My Glasto. So can we print some of those onto T-shirts that people can use?
We can print as many as you want, and I'd love for people to be wearing them, expressing their love for not only Glasto, but for the community, for the people on the street, especially in these times.
Brilliant. And if people take a photo holding their I Love Art sign, send it in, hashtag I Love Art, hashtag Your Glasgow. We'll look out for 2 or 3 of those every day, and we'll print some free t-shirts and send them out. But if you don't want to risk it, we've got a whole load of t-shirts here. We're going to print these up with Melinda's design and any others that we can get, and you can buy these from our online store. And if anybody wants to do a poster, do one of these big posters, I Love Art posters. These are 3 guys from down, guys and girls from down at the Tabernacle in Notting Hill, where we also met this Glasgow legend, Charlie Phillips, who came to England years ago in the Windrush generation and is the Windrush generation official photographer, if you like. And he took photos at the first ever Glastonbury when he went down there with Arabella Churchill, who's Winston Churchill's granddaughter or niece, I think. Can't remember the connection. Wow. So if people want to print those posters, you can send the artwork off by midday and get them back the next day from a company called Solo Press. Or we're going to put a link on the website for how you can do it by just printing lots of sheets of A4 and sticking them together, because we don't need to be spending money. We can celebrate creativity and art without spending an awful lot of money. What do you reckon?
This all sounds really great, Nick. It's going to be really a weekend of creativity, of making things out of nothing, literally. So that's really, really brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, I'll let you crack on, Melinda. Thank you so much for dropping in. Your Glasgow. By you, with you, for you. Be part of it with your art. Sign up for information, to speak, to sing, or to help us in any way. I'm just a dad, and I passionately believe that the future for our children, our communities, and our country lies in one thing: creativity. It can inspire our kids in their learning. It can create careers and connect communities. 10 years ago, after a trip to a festival, Camp Festival, I went back to my son's primary school and started a non-profit community enterprise called STEAMco with other parents, teachers, and local businesses. We ran mini creativity festivals. STEAMco helps connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Last weekend in that same playground, I filmed an amazing set by the legendary Glenn Matlock, co-founder of the Sex Pistols, and amazing global rock star Earl Slick, who used to play with David Bowie. It will be their performance at an event we've just been given permission to run in the playing fields of a school just down the road from Glastonbury. We're calling it #YourGlasgow. It's one of 5 free 3-day Art of Community festivals that we're running all summer with the help of the Arts Council and funding from the National Lottery. Our first one was live streamed from Eden Project at the end of May and featured inspiring talks, uplifting performances, creative activities, and community engagement. We had a fantastic performance by the blind and disabled young woman Kirpa Lee. We had a great Saturday night set from Emily Capel, and Gaz Mayer even Skyped in from his hideaway in Wales. We had a right old laugh watching Rosemary Schrager teach Levois to cook, and we all split our signs with Basil Brush.
Technology is an amazing thing.
Punk icon Jar Wobble chatted with a granddad in Liverpool. On Sunday, we had a little big lunch, and after that, rockstar activator Tom Morley led a co-drum circle with hundreds of people all over the world. We had a couple of great late-night dance parties where people could Skype in with a green screen background and end up on the dance floor. Okay, as the CEO of the Arts Council has said. I'm going to interrupt this broadcast because we are just about to go downstairs now. We're actually going to go and build a pyramid stage in my front yard. If I cut to camera 4, that's actually my living room ceiling that you can see there. So that's just the camera. My camera, well, that looks quite cool, isn't it? Look at that. The camera's downstairs. We're going to take it out the front and we're going to build a pyramid stage out the front of the house. So I'm going to shut this stream down. Thanks. 2 people still listening. Who's here? Come on, say hello before I go. I'm just about to cut you all off. Anybody there? Anybody there? Say hello. Lovely to know who's here. 2 people. All this effort, 2 people. Great effort. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Who's there? What have you thought of it? Come on. Anybody going to say anything? Anybody going to say anything? This pyramid stage didn't build itself, you know. We had to put a bit of effort into that. And that's what we're going to go and do now. We're going to build a pyramid stage. So let's get that video up there. Not that one, that one. Not that one, that one. Yeah. So we're going to go and build a pyramid stage downstairs. Who's here? Anybody going to admit to being here? 3 people now. 3 people. So, right, that's what we're going to do. We are building our pyramid stage. So let's put a message under here. If anybody's going to say something, come on, say something to me. I've got this new system. I can put messages up. Look. So somebody, if I say hello, look, I can just show you that. I can say hello. It's now, whoop, comes up on the screen. Look. How cool is that? So if you type something, I'll put it up on the screen. That's how cool this is. So we're going to go and build our pyramid stage downstairs. So I think, do you know what I think I need really? I just think I need slightly better graphic than that. Let's have a little sequence. So I'll go into PowerPoint down here, and sounds like Malumba's just come to the door. So we're off now. We're going to be giving it some large. There's no doubt about it. Let's have a look. What else did I want? I want that as well. Okay, copy that. Control Alt Delete. Paste those back in. We'll have that there. Have that over there. And we'll make all these movies just play. So that one, playback. Don't loop. We don't want that to loop. We want that one to stay on screen for like 2 seconds. So let's make that stay. Let's make that stay for like 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Gosh, must be painful here. Oh, blimey, it says after 6.4 seconds. Oh, it's not 4 seconds. Okay. That will advance after 4 seconds. We don't want that video looping anymore because that will just make it just stick there forever. So we'll turn that loop off. That one will have proceed after 4 seconds. And okay, got a bit of a USB thing going on, which isn't a very good vibe. We don't want that animating, so let's take loop if stopped. Let's make the whole thing slideshow, set up slideshow, loop until continuously. And now let's press play, and that should just completely animate. So I'll go back to that on 3. Let's see, is that playing? Come on, yeah, so that's going to play. I'm going to put a message up at the bottom. Turn that off so nobody's saying hello. Got 2 viewers, it's not bad, is it? And we're going to put a message on the bottom there saying, oops, and I want this one. I don't want to show it, I want to edit it. Okay, that's gone black. Why has that gone black? Because that video's got black at the end. That's a bit annoying, actually. So let's go and edit that video, highlight that. Select the video. Oh, I haven't got much time now. Come on. Come on, PowerPoint, don't crash on me now. Oh, it's just gone a bit slow. These videos are quite big, I think. So we go to video, playback, trim video, get that back. Oh, that's got the back bit edited off. Oh, that's not good. Come on. Why didn't it finish? Why didn't it loop then? Come on. I should just animate. The whole sequence should just animate. Come on, keep going. Whew. So I'm going to shut this feed down and start another one.